Hi, everybody. I just want to thank you all for being here today, all my members who are here in the chat. It's so nice to see everybody. We are a hot day, and I know that a lot of other creators are obviously talking about the video that Chantel released today. And so I do appreciate everybody being here with me. One of the reasons why I probably started to do Tim a little bit more was because it was a different audience that I could, engage with. And I didn't have as many different creators, obviously, talking about the same subject. So I don't want to saturate the YouTube algorithm with just content about foodie beauty. And I know that there's a lot of other people that, hi, everyone, that, that people rather listen to than listen to me. So I just do appreciate you all being here today. And taking your time to be here. Obviously, just make sure that we keep everything respectful in the chat, that we are not bullying or being, mean to one another, and that we just, make sure that we're always fostering a community that is positive. And I always say that if obviously any of the topics that we start to cover today or anything that start to, have you question anything within your mental health, then I would just suggest that you click on away, and that's okay. I understand. So, hi, everyone. I just want to get straight into this topic. Like I said, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, please do. I did want to start out with, good. Hi, how's it going? So I actually saw the video from Chantel when it came out this morning. I was just, getting on with my day and checking my emails. And I just usually check to see what's kind of going on with any of the creators that I tend to make commentary on. And I saw that she had let her audience know that she is planning to leave and planning to head back to Canada. And so obviously there's a lot of speculation around her announcement in the respect that her visa is coming to an end, I understand, on July 24th, which is just a couple of days away. I would suspect at this time she has there's just so much to kind of unpack. And I just wanted to first start with something from Dr. Coulter as to why lying is a necessity, because one of the biggest comments that we'll receive as creators is that Chantel's rule number one is that she always lies. And so I'm not treating or diagnosing anybody here, even though I am a registered nurse here in the United States and studying to be a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. I do hopefully come with some experience into some of these issues that seem to involve foodie beauty. And so I'll just, let's just get into what Dr. Coulter has to say. I'll make sure to leave links for his website and to his video that we're going to take a quick peek-see at. I don't think we'll watch the whole thing. Hey, come on, Mrs. Muerta, come on in. Come on in. And everybody who's here, I'm so glad to see you all. So if I'm trying to keep this nice and quick, so I'm sorry, I just appreciate everybody here. I know lots of folks are here. And like I said, I do appreciate it. There's probably 14 different channels at the moment streaming about this. And so, like I said, I just appreciate you taking the time to watch me. All right. So let's just get over to this video. And I have been, like I said, I'm not treating or diagnosing. There's no evidence that Chantel does have narcissistic personality traits. Well, maybe they're all. But obviously, a lot of people like to use this term. And there were some interesting things in this that kind of spoke to potentially some of the things surrounding her live stream. And I thought we could take a quick peek-see at this and then kind of go into her live stream. So it kind of made a little bit more sense, her direction that she takes with the audience as she's speaking. And the visas that she has in her audience, I've sort of equate those to what's known as flying monkeys. And if anybody is familiar with The Wizard of Oz, then you will be understanding the idea of what the flying monkeys are. They are somebody that is, propping up the narcissist, and giving them, what they need as far as people that will, continue to support them. So that's kind of what I'm at. Let's just get started with Dr. Coulter, and then we'll get over to Chantel.
Research actually tells us that one of the primary characteristics that is part of a healthy personality is openness. And when we talk about openness, we're talking about having a sense of curiosity about how the world works and what's going on out there. We talk about somebody who wants to have new insights. There's a real curiosity that they bring to the equation whenever they engage with other individuals. Open people recognize there's much diversity and differentness built into our life experience. And so they just go into it with the thought that says, there's a whole lot that I can learn here. Now, let's contrast that with what we know about narcissists. And one of the driving features that we have in narcissism is they've decided, I cannot afford to be open. I cannot afford to let you know the real me. And so they bring a closed and a cover-up kind of a mindset toward you. And taking it a bit further, narcissists have not only decided that they can't be open, but sometimes just being dishonest and telling lies is necessary. That's what they think. Now,
so I'm obviously stopping it, obviously, to make this fair use at this time. So if you can understand, and like I said, I'm not treating or diagnosing, but Chantel does show a lot of characteristics in my speculation that could lead to potentially a diagnosis of narcissistic personality traits. I'm not saying that she has the disorder, but she certainly does exhibit traits along with that. And obviously, one of the things that she sort of complains about is whether or not she is going to be open with the channels, in her channel, in regards to making sure that she's kind of guarded with her information, and then she opens up her information. And then we know she also tends to lie about a lot of things that she does. And so she definitely is somebody that we would say cries wolf. And so now that she's, being very tearful and talking about her return to Canada, there's a lot of people that speculate that this is just a lie from her because she has been lying so much. And I'm still trying to figure out if she's just a compulsive liar or is she really a pathological liar? And there is a difference between the two. And so, like I said, because we don't get any opportunities to do physical assessments with Chantel, that we're not able to give her any questionnaires as we would when we're trying to make a diagnosis on somebody so that we can actually get a treatment plan for them. This is, like I said, just speculation. But Chantel seems to lie out of necessity quite often. And I think sometimes it's in order for her not to be open with her audience. And I also have occasion where that is obviously to her benefit. All right, Dr. Coulter, keep going.
Of course, they won't say it like that. But when you observe the way they engage with people, that's what they do. They feel like, well, I have to tell things that are going to make me look good. And if it's not exactly true, well, I'm going to do it anyway because I have to do it. I have to preserve my carefully crafted image. And I want you to just pause and take a thought on that. So here you are, this narcissistic person, and you think, well, the best way for me to have great relationships and to feel real rewarded in my life is to be a liar. Now, again, they won't say that, but that's the net result of how they engage. Their false self is in total control and they're ensnared by it. And then taking it one step further, and in doing so, they still think of themselves as the one that needs to tell you how to live life. They're the gold standard. Go figure. Now, I want to...
And that's often what we can sense with Chantel, that she lives better than anybody else, that her life is something to be envied from other people, and that other people wish that she was her. And the more you kind of look into this, that could be because she was overly praised as a child, that she was underpraised as a child, that this start in her childhood. And like we said, we only get what Chantel decides to tell us. But if we remember when she returned to Canada and said that she was setting up an apartment and that she then persuaded people to send her money for that. And then she turned around and said that she obviously was not going to be staying in Canada. She did not return the monies back to her audience at all. And so I wonder if she does return to Canada, because we don't know if she just had a fight with her Salah and she's just kind of getting tearful and potentially threatening him with a return to home. She was very cruel to him, I felt, the other day when they had the Taco Tuesday, and she was just laughing. She was disregarding her health. She was taking literally his food. And I just wonder as to what point was his breaking point with this, and did they get into something of a disagreement, and that has made her want to get on a live stream and supposedly be open with everybody about what is going on.
To think, what's going on here when narcissists set aside that openness and they decide lying, if that's what I have to do, is a necessity. I've just got to get into that. What's going on there? How does it come down to that? One of the first things we need to understand about narcissists, and again, it's so essential for you to know this because they'll gaslight the daylights out of you and make you confused about who you are, even as they bring this unhealthiness. But one of the first things we know about these individuals is they've decided that high control is essential for their personal success. Narcissists are drawn toward all sorts of themes of power and dominance. And in their ways, it's kind of like, well, if I'm the one who calls the shots and I can belittle you, then when you try to get me.
And that's the thing. She's been so repeated with her lies to her audience and her behaviors yesterday, and then she comes out tearful today. And it could be that she just had a disagreement with Salah, and that's her way of, issuing a threat to him, is to get on a live stream, say she's going back to Canada, and then, everything then gets, fixed between them. I don't know if she's also doing that to get her subscribers to then send her more, super chats and super thanks and donations to her. It's hard to say. But there's certainly a motivation for her behaviors, but what her motivation is difficult to tell. And because she has been somebody so untruthful on YouTube, even anybody who doesn't particularly like her but knows her history is doubtful of anything she says. And that is, an issue of integrity and character at the end of the day. And because of so much of it, it does make me tend to think, is she sort of sitting in potential narcissistic personality traits that she really has exacerbated when she gets out on her live streams on YouTube?
Me to be honest about who I am, well, I've got the upper hand and we don't need to do that. And so their lying is part of their way of trying to maintain a sense of control over other individuals. Control is far more important to them than truth and honesty and self-revelation. Likewise, when we examine why narcissists can rationalize their need to lie, we can say that a certain pessimism has been built into their personalities. Way back when they were growing up, many of them had the thought that says, people out there just don't understand me. And there are plenty of folks out there that want to do me in. That's the pessimism. And so they conclude that people.
And that would be the reaction channels for Chantel and people who are negative in her comments. Because remember, recently she did release a live or a video, and it had at the very front of that, the first screenshot was giving indication that she did not want any negative comments in her comment section, that she only wanted positive comments, that she could not handle the negativity at this time. So there's something definitely brewing. We know that Kuwait is changing its laws, that she is on a tourist visa. I showed the other day that her views are definitely decreasing. Her money would be therefore probably decreasing as well. She's certainly, like I said, not getting the sponsorships, if you may, from her channel.
People in general can be really bad. And in fact, they're out to bury me. There can actually be a certain paranoia that they bring. Or they can think to themselves, well, if I'm totally honest about my flaws and my imperfections, it's going to be curtains for me. It's not going to work out well. And maybe they had some people that were not very good about knowing how to sift that out with them, but that's the conclusion they've drawn, and they've carried it all the way through their adult years. Along with this pessimism, they've concluded authenticity is overrated. I don't want to be that kind of a person. It's not going to happen, not with me. And then they also begin thinking the world out there is antagonistic. You're antagonistic about me, and therefore I have to protect myself against you and all your sorry characteristics. And so pessimism is part of this reason for lying. Likewise, somehow, another reason they go into this lie as a necessity, somehow they've decided that they really are privileged. They consider themselves as being a unique, misunderstood person. And so they want to hold themselves up higher than other individuals. And
we know that Chantel does that. She says she's 98% prettier than 98% of anybody who's on YouTube. She definitely likes to be. She's got a picture of her in her thumbnail with her with a crown on it. She has been Queen Chantel. She is somebody who, and this is one of the things, somebody who, and the more obviously I study into narcissistic personality traits, because really the couple of the creators that I make commentary on kind of seem to display these traits. Like I said, I cannot treat or diagnose. This is just a case study. And I wanted to show this video too, because I think it sets a good backdrop to the video we're going to watch. And she certainly sort of holds herself up as being more special than most of us.
In their sense of specialness, and when I say specialness, entitledness, it's like, well, other people don't know how to match pitch with me because, you see, I am a bit higher than everybody else. And so I can't just get in there and talk to you about who I am. You don't understand me. Therefore, I'm just going to dole out facts such as it is, as I think that you're able to handle it. And so their privilege status can feed into their rationalization for why it's necessary to lie. Then another reason that they go into this space is, you've heard me use the term psychological laziness. Lying is a form of laziness. It's a form of procrastination. It may be that they can somewhere deep down in the recesses of their mind think, maybe I need to do things differently and I need to be a little bit more straightforward. Nah, not today.
And we'll definitely get into the issue around the Kia very soon once we get into her. But I when I listened to this today, I was just thinking that this seemed to mirror so much of her behaviors. That she's lazy, and so it's easier for her to lie, than actually be truthful, and even truthful to herself about her health, the things that she needs to do. I can let you know that one of the things that we know with diabetes medications and the way she is with her blood sugars at the moment, she could take 10 medications for diabetes, and it's not going to be able to get her the control that she wants the way her diet and adding exercise would. So you can medicate yourself up to every diabetes medication, Chantel, but until the diet changes and her lifestyle habits change, she is not going to get good control of those blood sugars. And that was something I was listening to from a lecture the other day on diabetes management. And so I'm always, and she doesn't want to eat healthy. She doesn't want to be healthy. That's not for her. So again, it's kind of like I think she thinks her body is going to be more special, but unfortunately it has the same physiology as all of our bodies do on the sort of greater macro scale, if you may.
Anyway, and there's a side of them that knows that dishonesty is not a pleasant kind of characteristic to have, but it's like, I don't want to have to deal with it. Again, I'm dealing with idiots, and so let's worry about that some other time. And so there's a psychological laziness they operate with.
Right, and she often likes to use that rhetoric around creators in girl world, myself included, I guess, is that, none of us are intelligent enough or educated enough to really understand what are her underlying problems. That, only she, knows that. And she'll now say, because I guess I'm registered nurse and trained to be a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, that she will say she's only using the word doctors now. That's her, only doctors. So she's got to be at the highest level of provider, and so she uses that as a way to try to belittle other creators in this space. And that's, again, I think, part of this, part of her lying, and we'll just keep on going.
Likewise, as they lie, part of the reason they do is they've decided that lying and reframing who they are can be a good way of finding sympathy in an exploitive kind of way. For example, I so remember one woman who told me that she was in an abusive marriage and that her husband had shoved her. And later on, I found out through other sources that, the husband had shoved her, which is not a good thing, but it was because she had bit him. And so it's like, well, you didn't tell me that part. And so it's like, well, I'm just going to leave out certain.
And I think I wonder too, and you bring up some really good points about the fact that she couldn't get her fast food last night, and that leads to feeling depressed. So are we, seeing the result of her disordered eating? And now because she's not getting what she wants, maybe they don't have the money to spend on that. YouTube payday is next week. So she could be getting to the end of her funds at the moment. And that could be part of the reason why she has had to cook more at home. I think she's not doing that by choice because the meals are not healthy. She's doing that out of necessity. But she would lie about it in order to cover her tracks. And I think too, today, if she, she did tell her audience, and we'll get into it obviously more as we watch Chantel, that she said about how she, her audience was asking her about, if this was a clickbait, is it really true? Is she really returning back to Canada? And she's like, no, why would I do that? Well, Chantel, it's because you have a history of lying to people and lying to your audience primarily. So I wonder if she's trying to get sympathy from them today. And this again is, part of that pattern of people with narcissistic personality traits. We all have bad things that happen and occur. Not all of our days are perfect, but a lot of us know to monitor and measure ourselves, not to keep bringing that out to other people. Well, those are things that we may keep to ourselves as we, work our way through these. And maybe we only share them with people extremely close to us, or, in the space of a therapeutic session.
Key elements that make me look bad and make the other person look bad. And so narcissists are willing to lie because they're seeking out sympathy. And it's like they'll pick and choose different things that make them look good, even if it's like, there's a certain omission there, but that's okay. That's how they think. Or in addition, when narcissists lie out of necessity, it's their way of saying, I will not take responsibility for whatever foibles I've been involved in or whatever imperfections I have. In fact, you're the problem for me having my troubles in the first place. And so it allows them to go deep into their blame shifting mode. And then there's another reason that narcissists lie, and that is because it's easy. It's habit. And there are times when they'll tell lies and there's no particular discernible reason for it, except it's just what I do. And so, again, we go back.
And this is one of the points I thought was so specifically around, Foodie. That's just what she does. She just lies. And creates drama. And she's needing to create drama for her channel. I mean, because of the fact that she is down on her views. She's probably down on her money. She had the smallest looking like little, taco thing. And that, I wonder, is that actually because the money's not there, because she is close to the end of the month. And, maybe she's not getting as many cameo donations. I think there's a lot, and she never will be honest to anybody about any of her actual real concerns, I think. I think she does a lot of masking in that. I felt that the live stream where she was just giggling and laughing and saying she didn't care anything about her health was actually quite difficult to watch, because she is so she's so unmotivated to change, and she's so, willingly defiant. And that's something that is more associated with children, and it's just and oppositional defiance disorders than a healthy adult. So it almost you wonder if she's getting, and like I said, I'm not treating or diagnosing, I would need to see questionnaires into some types of antisocial behavior. So she's definitely, I feel, sometimes living in that dark triad, just with the way she likes to manipulate her audience.
To the notion of openness and say that's how we can go if we're going to have healthy relations. And narcissists like, well, you need to be open to me so I know how to manipulate you, but of necessity, I am not going to do that. And whatever I have to do to twist the facts around, I'm quite willing to do that. Now, again, I'm going to go back and say an extremely high percentage of the time that narcissists go into this high lying mode, it's their way of trying to gaslight you. They want you to be confused about what you observe, when in fact, the more you're onto their schemes and their rationale, I'm hoping you can stay off of that.
Thank you, Mrs. Werter, for that super chat. Let me see your question. In the beginning, she tries often not to smirk, laughs. Yes. And I think that Patricia brought up a very good point, that she's already changed her thumbnail. So she had one where she's with the crown, and now she's, using to manipulate her audience to have sympathy for her, tearfully wiping a Kleenex. And she's very impulsive too. If you were, planning a return back home to Canada, it's not that you just get an airline ticket, and she knows it's close to payday. So Salah would know that she would suddenly have the funds in order to return back home. So I don't know what we won't know. And this is one of the things that I don't think some people might enjoy the drama, especially the reaction channels, because it gives us more things to react to. But as far as her audience, who wants to feel like she's trusting and that they're able to be part of this Biza community, I think that's, a little bit of a different, a little bit more difficult to manage. And so it's like, who is she? Who is her audience? Is her audience, reaction channels, or is her audience actually the people who are in her chat who, care about her, I guess? The flying monkeys, as I call them. Just
that kind of a role that they're trying to put onto you. It's lying is part of them feeling like, well, I've been victimized, and therefore I just have to change the rules enough to suit me and my needs. Whenever we notice that a narcissist lies out of necessity, at least based on their rationalization, we can pretty much surmise that it has its origins in their own childhood trauma. Somewhere along the way, they did indeed decide this is not a safe world, and there's no way that I'm going to let you know who I am. But instead of them coming to terms with their trauma, they've taken their hurt and they're displacing it onto you, or they're projecting their unfinished business onto yourself. And so they're...
And this is one of the reasons why I believe that Chantel really does need to get some deep therapy. There's obviously, things in her childhood, and it's difficult. I'm somebody who had a teenage mother. My mother was 16 when she became pregnant, had me at 17. The likelihood of me being somebody successful in life because of that, background of my mother is actually very slim. So there are things that show that, children of teenage mothers, because they may be having more issues around poverty, stability, are more likely to not succeed in adulthood. So I feel that sometimes, since I'm somebody who tends to show a great deal of resilience, I enjoy school. I've always understood that education is my key to success in life, and that will be what will be able to help me, through my adult life and dealing with my own traumas that I had to experience during my childhood. My parents did marry. That was kind of a forced marriage back in those days. And but they did divorce again when I was very young, at a time when divorce was not as common, and it caused, other issues, and then, just a lot. So whether or not Foodie Beauty has actually dealt with this, I doubt. And in some of her behaviors and the stories that she talks about around her childhood, it's difficult to tell what part is her actual childhood and what part is an episode of Degrassi High. And she tends to, I think, embellish a lot of stories when she talks about being at the group home. She talks about being in a room with an anorexic who she would take the food from. And one of the things that people know who understand how these types of group homes work, that they wouldn't have access to food in the room. That's something that's going to be very controlled and managed within the facility. And it's probably very unlikely that they would put an anorexic along with somebody who's got the other end of eating disorders. So she's, how much of that, we don't know how much is really true on that story. Or is it just an embellishment from Chantel? It's difficult to say.
Lying is their way of trying to find short-term pain relief.
Thank you.
When in fact,
please stop.
what it does
I always want to make sure I recognize and say thank you, and I apologize, everybody. Thank you, Sam, for the grad school funds. I really do appreciate that. I really do. I really do appreciate it more than people realize. I'm getting ready to hopefully start a new nursing position part-time while I am in grad school. And for some reason, all of the background checks, and it's not just mine, are being delayed. And so it's taking a little bit longer. I've done all the orientation, all the modules. So I'm able to start that. But thank you for that grad school fund. I'm doing pretty well. I just got 100% on a paper. So not to brag. All right. I don't want to be a braggart. All right. But I appreciate it, because it does give me an opportunity to concentrate on my studies and move my way into the field of psychiatric mental health, which is just so needed in all in the United States at this time, and probably in Canada, and probably in other countries around the globe. All right, we're almost finished with
it actually
Taylor,
increases pain and misery. They don't reason well at all. So if you're in the presence of this narcissist who has decided openness doesn't work for me, lies is something I'm willing to go into, and sometimes it's overt lies.
Yes, Anna, I apologize for the health talk. I'm obviously a provider, and that's where my expertise is. So if those are not wanting to get, obviously, my insight into, mental health along with Chantel, then obviously just pop along over to Alex's Shook, and you can just have a laugh and a giggle about it.
Sometimes it's lies by omission. I'm hoping there can be times when they try to pull you in, that you're willing to speak up and say, I know that that's something you want me to go along with, but here's what I stand for. And when they try to chip away at your truth or your honesty, remember who you're dealing with. This is not somebody who's coming at you with a sense of well-being toward you and toward the relationship. So speak up and just let your truth be what it is. No apologies. Stand firm. And when they tell you you're an idiot, it's like, that's something you need to tell yourself. But I'm not.
I mean, I don't really watch Alex's Shook. It's difficult because they often talk about subjects around health and know very little around the topics. But I know that for people who just want to, have a giggle, that's fine. I understand. That's what a lot of people in girl world should do. I don't find, I appreciate other people thinking that the comment was not particularly kind to me. That's okay. I have a lot of people that let me know that they appreciate my insights on these topics, and actually were getting quite upset when I wasn't talking about Chantel's health. But other people just want to have a laugh and a giggle. And, And I can understand that too. I think it's important to understand why does she lie, and then take a look at her video and compare it to what we're understanding from this. And that's just because I am an academic. And that's one of the reasons why I came to Girl World, was because I am an academic. Believe it or not.
And I'm going to hold firm. I'll have my consequences, boundaries intact. See, let's keep in mind that a narcissist necessary to them lying represents an odd way of them trying to gain influence and power and privilege. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a really shaky strategy. So I'm hoping that you can see that ultimately when narcissists go into this high lying mode, it really says they've quit. They've quit on themselves, and they're trying to make you responsible for their miseries. Let's not go into that space, and absolutely do not.
Right. And I think this is really important about Chantel, about trying to drag people into her misery. So today is trying to drag her audience into whatever her misery is. That could be the misery of her not getting enough fast food. I mean, there is a massive connection between dopamine receptors and those types of food rewards. So if she's not getting rewarded in the brain through the hit of the food, then she's not going to feel as happy. And that's one of the things that you understand when you look around disordered eating and food addiction, is that the reason why these people are unmotivated and unwilling to make changes, even though they can read the literature, this could be eating, smoking, getting exercise, any of these things, is because the habit that they are actually engaging in is satisfying their dopamine receptors. So it could be that she literally has become somewhat, and like I said, I'm not treating or diagnosing, those dopamine receptors just didn't get hit yesterday, and they're not getting hit again today because maybe she doesn't have the money in her pocket because it's so close to payday in order for her to go out and get herself fast food. And now she's having to eat just what's in the house. And Salah, if he supposedly was this big businessman, I'm sure he would be out buying her these things in order to get her from probably having tantrums in the house. Because I could see her actually, acting like addicts do when they're not getting their fix. And this can be seen with people who, in any type of addiction, unfortunately. And it makes it sometimes that part of the reason why it can be so difficult to treat these individuals, especially ones, and there are studies around this unwillingness to change. And so that's part of what potentially could be going on today.
Take whatever shame they're putting onto you for their unfinished business. No, the video such.
Well, I congratulate you for having been a member for 1 month, Miss Catherine. I was just thinking today about my favorite store that is actually in New Zealand called Recreate. And if I had the money, which I hopefully will when I graduate, I can't wait to go and get some stuff from that clothing store because I love that store.
As this can give you some good awareness of what you're dealing with. The more you understand this, the more you can go in your healthier direction, an alternative. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. Gus and I will keep more videos coming in your direction.
And unfortunately, she can hope all she wants, Claudette, about her meds and insulin curing everything, because I was watching a very good diabetes educator. It was actually a lecture from University of California, San Francisco, so UCSF, and they actually have their lectures available on YouTube. And a lot of their lectures have actually been matching the classes I've been taking in advanced pharmacology this semester. And they said very clearly that you can take 10 medications for diabetes, but unless you change your diet and your lifestyle, they're not going to work. That you cannot medicate your way out of it with diabetes. It has to be an actual lifestyle change. So as much as she wants to think that's the case, and that could be, part of her narcissism lying to and her laziness in it. So she's actually lying to herself if she believes that she's kind of hit the panacea to her diabetes type 2. So yeah, she's that's not gonna work. And anybody who and I suggest, if you are interested more about learning about the management of diabetes, to check out that lecture, because it was fascinating. At least I found it fascinating. I watched it twice. It was so interesting.
Likewise, I know that many of you would have a desire or a need to speak with a therapist about some of these kinds of things that arise when you're dealing with relationships like this. I'm so pleased to be sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. I have now for years.
All right. I think that's where Dr. Coulter kind of finishes up there. Yeah, please seek therapy as the need exists. And that's something that we would love to sell to our friend Chantal, is that we would like her to get the help she needs. Okay. All right, let's get over to Miss Chantal. I'm going to share this tab instead. And like I said, I'll leave the link in my description box below if you'd like to check out a little bit more from Dr. Coulter, and specifically that YouTube video that he released. And he does go live, and I think once a week. So I always encourage people, YouTube is a great place to get educational information too. And one of the reasons how I actually discovered YouTube and using it more frequently was because I was looking at tutorials while I was studying for my BSN many, many years ago. And so I've been excited to see more educational, more colleges and universities putting up their lectures. I watched this one that was awesome. I mean, gosh, this guy was beating up on his class. It was about antibacterial therapies, antibiotic therapies, getting really into the ins and outs of it. It was like almost a 4-hour lecture, but it was awesome. All right, let's take a look at Foodie over here. All righty. And I appreciate those who are coming out from lurking to say that they've enjoying my perspective. It is a different perspective. I understand. I'm not trying to be necessarily as clickbaity. I do want to be able to talk about things here. Okay, so obviously she had that Taco Tuesday here. I mean, this was just something, to be beheld, this Taco Tuesday. I mean, her, attitude of eating this, her defiance, just you could see the defiance and just how she eats that food. She's got to get that dopamine hit. I mean, she's really somebody who does need to seriously, if she ever wants to make any changes, I don't think she has the willpower, in my opinion, to do that on her own. Now we got that she's very confused over here, and she's changed out her thumbnail. It's just, she took out the Kleenex one. So she's obviously on a roll today and changing up her thumbnails. All right, let me get over to this one. I am going to speed her up. I'm going to leave the chat because sometimes they have some interesting things to say. I am going to put her to 1.25 just so we can get through this a little bit quicker. I'm going to put this to a live chat so we can see some of the interesting things that her audience wants to say. I'm going to make, thank you, Poets Graffiti, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the great information. Here's a coffee. Well, I do love my coffee, but I'm having to learn not to drink it so late in the day. I'm getting ready in 2 weeks' time, believe it or not, to celebrate my 55th birthday. So I will be 55 years old in a couple of weeks. And so I'm getting a 55-year-old bladder with it. But thank you so much. Oh, Miss Pat Ray came on by. When was your BSN, Ray? I actually took I have 2 degrees. So my first degree was in teaching, and I graduated with that in the 1990s, like early 1990s. And then my BSN, I graduated. It's been a decade now. So I graduated in 2014 with my BSN. And I did spend some years studying advanced Spanish in Mexico as well, at the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico. So I went there. You're a very young 55. Thank you. Well, I try to eat. I try to actually kind of live the life I preach as a healthcare provider. So if anybody checks out my short from today, I showed my healthy lunch. So yeah. Yeah, 29. Well, I don't know about that, Steve. I don't know about 29. That must be the ring light I have going. Okay, I can't lie. I got a ring light. Okay, I'm gonna make me small. And it's funny because I've had people put in my comment section when I said about in one of my community posts that I was very busy with school, and somebody decided to let me know that I was too old to be in grad school, that I should be wrapping it up, and I still see myself as having, a good 20 years of a career ahead of me. My grandmother lived into her 90s, and so longevity is something. My grandma wasn't very healthy in her lifestyle choices, and so that's something that I definitely think about. And I know that cognitively speaking, you do so much better when you remain working, that people that stay working, one of the things that you find is that they tend to keep their cognition better. And so that's something that obviously appeals to me. People like Chantel can't understand personal growth. Absolutely not. She is very, just not having any personal growth whatsoever. Dr. Esselstein is still going in his 90s. Exactly. And that's one thing, especially in one of the reasons why and just to be quick, because I know that people want to see Chantel. You started your degree at 37? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's awesome. I think it's sometimes we actually do better as older learners, because we're more potentially goal orientated. We understand some of the difficulties of getting through school, and it means a lot more to us that maybe we're sacrificing a lot in order to be at school. I know I sacrificed my social life. You don't care for age shamers? It hurts me for sure. Oh, you're 56. Congratulations. And I feel better now than ever. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to not try. And this is one of the things with Chantel. She's like, I'm 40, I'm so old, but you're only as old as you feel, but you also have to make sure that you are doing things in order to keep healthy. And we all make mistakes when we were younger in regards to not the greatest decisions around our health or our education. But hopefully along with age comes wisdom, and you think about where you want to leave your legacy, if you may. And I always want to say, what is Chantel's legacy going to be? Pam says, no, never too old. I'm here at 60. We have provincial grants so seniors can go back to university if they wish. I think it's great. Oh, that's awesome. 3 years to go, and I'm taking advantage of it. Well, that's awesome, Pam. And I think it's probably because studies show that if we continue learning, then our brain synapses are still connecting. So it's you're never too old to learn, and so I always think, it's a great thing. You had a birthday last year and you went to Italy. Oh my goodness, I'm jealous. You got your master's at 42. Congratulations, Bubbles and Marshmallow. Oh, you were in school for your master's. Well, I'm already graduating you. And Farrell Farm says, you have ADHD. I didn't really know what I wanted until now. Late bloomers unite. Absolutely. I mean, and for me, it's been just a career progression. So I went into teaching initially. And then I decided that I was so interested in the topics around health and wellness that when I did have an opportunity, because I got my teaching degree in the UK, when I had an opportunity here in the United States to go back to school, I was like, I'm so fascinated by health that I want to make sure that, I'd love to be an RN. And then obviously, as I became an RN, I knew that at some point I wanted to be able to progress into becoming a nurse practitioner. And so I finally, after about 10 years, I just, it was a little bit before that. I said, that's it. I think this is now the time. I've been, enough years working as an RN. I think I have enough knowledge and experience to be able to take into my master's. And that's something that often in the UK they require for certain masters, not all. that you actually have some time in your profession before you get into the master's program, because you need that experience. And congratulations to all of you who have gone back to school and are, enjoying the benefits of that. And I think that we should never stop people from wanting to learn and engage in learning. I think, like I said, I find myself to be a much better student as an adult student than I did when I was younger, when I first went to college, because I was there for the party, and, to get my degree, but I was there to socialize more. Whereas now, it's such a big commitment to be back at school, especially here in the United States, where it's not cheap, that you make that commitment. And so let's get into Chantel. Let's see what the chat has to say, because they're telling her to fly first class and all sorts of stuff. So let's see how she, sort of framing it from what we saw with Dr. Carter. How much do we really think this is Chantel having had just an argument with Salah, and in a couple of days we're going to be hearing something else? Or are we going to suddenly see her on a plane to Canada? All right. Keep going, Chantel. I know I have paper here somewhere. Oh, where do I go?
Need a drink.
Oh my goodness. Why come out on a live, Foodie, if you're just going to disappear? So everyone's like already in her chat saying, are you okay? Foodie the beauty. And everyone's like, news. So she's obviously, already kind of getting her supporters here, kind of, wanting to know what's going on with our queen, what's going on with our, girl here. The flying monkeys are out over here, propping up her potential narcissism. Up, she looks.
Hello.
Up.
I'm invisible. Hi, everybody. I have such a bad headache.
So everything very performative at this point. If you're going to come on a live stream, at least be in your chair ready to go. I did leave my paper behind because I did want to see if I was going to try to make some notes about her tone, behaviors, and so forth. Like I said, I do have her sped up to 1.25. She's come out there, she disappears. I've already got my, if I need some water, I've got mine ready to go, but she's come out. I've got a headache. And that actually could be because she didn't get her fix from her food yesterday, or stress, tension. I mean, just a number of factors could be, precipitating the headache, or she could just be lying about it because she, remember, narcissistic types. And I'm not, like I said, I can't treat or diagnose her, but she does tend to, in my speculation, show a lot of those traits. She's, getting, the cold water bottle out. She's got to get that sympathy going. Get the sympathy going.
I'm not feeling well. Kina. Oh my God. I'm going to be like off to the side so I can, No. I'm not okay. It's so hard to pretend to not be to be okay. I don't want to show any weakness.
Now that might be the actual most truthful thing she says all day. Is that she doesn't want to show any weakness, but you are, because you're saying that you have a headache, that you disappeared to get water. So is this the lead into saying I'm going to show my weaknesses? It's always, there's definitely a performative nature. I think that most of us would think if you were having a bad day or you were upset, the last thing that you want to do is to share it with a parasocial relationship that's on, YouTube. But Chantel doesn't really have any close friends, I'm guessing, at this time. So she needs to, use her audience for those purposes, which is not why people come to YouTube. People come to YouTube to learn, to have a good time, to get into the chat, to, to do all these different things, not, to be propping up somebody who's had a bad day, I mean, it's just, and I guess she's hoping that she'll be getting, sympathy money along with it. She certainly had a lot more views on this video because of the drama. And that could be part of the reason too. She's getting towards the end of the month. She's got to start making some money, especially if she wants to, be able to do a visa run or whatever she needs to do. It's not cheap.
To the left.
Oh, swollen. Oh, absolutely.
I ordered food because I need comfort. It's so sad, I know, but I don't care right now.
Yes.
I'm moving back home. And
okay, so she's crying. She's telling everyone she's moving back home. I wonder, everyone over here, what's going on? They're all very concerned. This is, this props up people with narcissistic personality traits. They don't need to necessarily be on the up, like happy. It's anything that's going to get attention and put them in the number one spot, even if it's, supposedly, showing your weaknesses. So, yeah. Anyway, keep going, Chantel. I'll be here for hours.
I'm going to be on my own. I'm going to be like single and like we're separating.
Let me see that. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Muerta.
I don't want to talk about why.
Right. So let me go back a little bit and see, that she's dabbing the teary eye. Is that the smile? Let's see if we can catch it.
I'm moving back home.
Okay. This is kind of a little bit of a little smirk. I mean, she obviously gave that sad smile there, but I mean, is this because she is, knows that she's manipulating her audience at this point? Because that's, something that would be fitting to the types of personality styles she shows. And, also a threat to Salah, like if you don't treat me the way I want to be treated, then I'm going to go back to Canada and I'm going to take away all that you have here. I don't know if the car that he has, if they're still making payments on it or if it's paid off, if the apartment would be gone, he would actually have to then, catfish for another, foreign wife. My speculation, because I think they're both kind of catfishing a little bit on each other. And they are two catfish who kind of wound up with each other with their own goals about what to get out of this relationship. And I think Chantel has been getting more of what she's wanted out of this relationship than Salah has recently been getting. I mean, it's a nice apartment, but he has to share it with Chantel. He does get the freedom of getting that nice vehicle that he gets to drive around in. And I'm sure he has had no problem with going out and getting her fast food because it gives him an opportunity to get out of the apartment. And he protects her in the chat. And that's really because they're both trying to protect the image. I think that they're trying to give to the audience that they're this married couple, that they're deeply in love with each other, that he cares so much about her, and I think it's like part of a greater, I hate to use the word grift, but it's a way that both of them use to manipulate unsuspecting audience members who don't potentially have the same mindset. When people are good people, they don't understand that other people could be con artists. They really don't think it exists. It's really good people. They really don't see it because they only see good in other people. So they're not even aware of this type of, manipulative behaviors. And if she's got newer people coming in who feel like they're supporting somebody who's so persecuted by reaction channels, then, they're going to be on her side. Just my opinion. Don't forget to like the stream.
And I'm going to be on my own. I'm going to be like single and like we're separating. I don't want to talk about why. Like, I want to respect privacy in that way. And
so she's going to come out and cry. She's going to let them know that she and Salah are separating. She's obviously teary-eyed. I think, they potentially had an argument. She was pretty kind of being a little bit of a difficult individual yesterday. When you saw her kind of lying on the couch. I mean, I was watching it from the perspective of, sort of a therapeutic perspective and as a healthcare provider as to how frustrating it would be to have this person as your patient. And as you quite rightly mentioned, Kuwait is very clear about having medical exemptions or exempting people due to medical reasons, I should say. They do not want to have to be caring for somebody with as many chronic conditions as Chantel has. And I almost doubt, in my mind, because she hasn't gone back to see any of her doctors, if she actually did see a doctor in Kuwait last time. I really do think that she went over the border for a couple of days and sought medical treatment outside of Kuwait in another country, like right across the border to United Arab Emirates. I wouldn't be surprised in order to keep it out of Kuwait, because she must have some awareness of what the laws are and how they are changing in Kuwait. And maybe Salah has, reached his breaking point with her. Who knows? But whatever it is, she's come out to trauma dump on her audience.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you why. It's just relationship stuff. Well, look up Salam Sarajin. So that's it. Thanks, Amber. Yeah, it's done. It's like really done.
And I think we heard that at Christmas time too, when supposedly he had Kai Bella in his chat, and she also proclaimed, "It's done. I want nothing to do with him. I'm never, I'm not going back to Kuwait. I'm staying here in Canada." It's, she definitely likes to either manipulate people, or she has no filter when she comes out and she just says whatever's on her mind. And it monetizes it. She knows that coming out and crying and doing all of this is going to get, people sad. And then, all these people that chat, and a lot of the people in her chat, we've already got issues with the type of people that she has in her chat, because some of these people might be minors. And I always want to remind people that Chantel is somebody who doesn't mind manipulating minors. And I've had an issue around that. And I appreciate Garlic Bread, because he actually did a video talking about my concerns. And I still have concerns as a healthcare provider about the minors. And, because you've got things like, this is a woman who's 40 years old, okay? And this one person says, I'm so sorry. Being an adult is so damn hard. I mean, that is something that comes from somebody who's young, in my opinion. Because most of us who are in my chat, we're a little bit older. We know this already. But we also know the benefits of being an adult too. So it's just interesting, people like, you don't know us anything. I'm so sorry, Chantel. So y'all broke up. And then this girl, he was trash, girl. Did he cheat again? It's just the sort of types of the line of chat, just kind of gives you some type of awareness as to where, either her audience wants to prop her up because they want that parasocial relationship, or are they just really so young that they don't really understand, the nuances of Chantel and her behaviors? Drop your comments in the chat.
I I have respect for myself, so. So I'm just like really tired and not doing too great.
Right. Oh, yes, absolutely.
The most tragic thing, I think the thing that like hurts me the most about ending something like this is
I understand that the healthcare in Kuwait and the way she would have to do it through private is not cheap either. In fact, from what I've understood, it's expensive too. So, but that might have been a way for her to have kind of tried to circumvent thing. I don't think she could just keep going to Kuwait because they're going to, maybe she was scared to have people know her health records there. And she disappeared for a few days too. So, and she didn't show any of the outsides of the building. It was interesting. So I'm just curious. So, okay. So she keeps on crying here. And the thing is, you're watching this, and you're just like, how much is this manipulating her audience? Is she just sad because she didn't get Taco Bell today? Is her dopamine, down? What's going on? Everything and nothing.
When you think you're living something,
hey, exactly.
So that's it.
Right, rain in the smirk. Right.
That's the news.
I know. I don't understand why either, Catherine.
Not something meant to be. That's all. That's all I can say. So I'm better off alone, honestly.
For those of you who are members, if you want to start dropping in the emoji of me bringing her flowers, I think this is a moment when Chantel needs to be brought flowers because she's so sad at this time. So let's bring her flowers to the chat. So if any of you want to drop that in, just to, because and look at the way she's positioned herself too. This is interesting because, she's usually sat dead center. But now, obviously, to get this performative effect in some ways, because she's out doing this live, she's sitting here like in the corner, like she's semi-hiding herself, so it's just, and she manages to, bring it up to about 50 some minutes of this, I can let you know if most people, if they had really gone through something with a spouse, and it was heading towards a divorce, I can promise you the last thing you'd probably want to do is go live stream about it. You may, but you would probably want to give yourself a couple of days. I think that it's just very unusual to be an adult and have something as, big of a change as the one she's supposedly saying that's going to happen. And you're streaming on it literally the next morning, or at least morning for us, probably evening in Kuwait.
I'm better off alone. I have a lot of work to do on myself. And, I'm like 40 and I have a lot of health issues. And I just want to be in peace, like to deal with things, without any kind of pressures.
Well, that would not be surprising that she's, taking on the side. And I can let you know that that's not good. I just wrote an entire paper yesterday about trying to get adolescents who smoke into smoking cessation. So I wrote a whole paper about that yesterday. E-cigarettes are their most favorite things to use. And so we talked about, I wrote a paper about that yesterday. So yeah, it's not good with diabetes. It's not recommended. And especially if you have, the use of a CPAP, probably not the best thing for your lungs. It's a lot of tobacco and nicotine. And nicotine, again, is something that's, going to work on your sort of reward centers again.
So, yeah. That's it.
I don't think Salah is going to try to do anything about her eating habits. I think he she was pretty kind of rude to him yesterday, right in front of the live stream and demanding to eat his quesadilla. And I think she might have, got him irritated. They could be potentially seeing already kind of the trajectory of what she'll be making towards the end of the month. And I don't know if she just didn't get enough of her, salty, sugary foods yesterday. And so her dopamine is down. It didn't hit those dopamine receptors. And so she's, didn't get her proper fix. And so maybe she threw a tantrum, because she's not getting her way. So who knows? Because we don't really see their true interactions. And we won't hear the true story from Chantel. That much I do know. Yay!
Sorry, I really didn't want to cry. Like, I really didn't want to, but I'm going home very soon. Yeah, please don't insult Salah. It's not anything like it's not anything like he did. It's just I am just
Oh wow.
I don't want to like insult him. I want to respect like our relationship.
Yes, and I understand that the healthcare system in Canada is becoming more and more taxed. That obviously, even though you have national healthcare, it's not a national reason not to be responsible for your own health. And Chantel has certainly been somebody who has abused, in my mind, the system in Canada because she eats herself and then takes herself to the ER. And they're obviously not going to refuse care, especially when she got a blood sugar 450. I mean, that's a hospitalization. It's got to be taxing to her heart too. I mean, I think, and she's already somebody, and I've heard that from other people in the chat before, is that there's a long wait to see primary care. And so she's somebody that's not going to feel willing to sit out and wait to see urgent care. So I just don't know if she is ready. That's one of the things she always complained about when she went back home to Canada. So I think that, she's if she really is going back to Canada, she talks about some of her problems, that she's about to have. But, oh God, please, Lindsay, no. Sorry, I just saw that Lindsay here is saying coming via the UK will bees. No, don't send it to England, sweetheart, or anywhere in the UK. Do not do that. I can promise you, none of our folk in the UK want that. In fact, Lindsay, I just felt the Union Jack give a sort of a little bit of a downer there. It kind of stopped flying in the air because of that recommendation. Jeez.
Enough that I just want to, it's just not, I just need to be alone. Okay. That's it. So.
Right.
I don't know, Amber.
I would agree, okay. Mrs. Murta.
Yeah. And I don't want to go on a plane for 13 hours.
Oh, she won't be turned down for healthcare, but she's going to have a long wait to see people, from what I understand, depending on which, I guess, province in Canada you live in. So she's, like I said, she's already, complained about having to wait outside an urgent care in the line. So she's just going to show up in an emergency room, I guess, because that's usually her trajectory, rather than actually trying to wait to see a primary care provider, which is what she needs to have, or an internal medicine doctor, in order to manage all these chronic conditions. These are the people that we want to keep out of the hospitals as much as possible. They're to be managed primarily outside the hospital. Like if you're having a exacerbation of your COPD and it's like constantly happening and you're constantly going to the emergency rooms, at some point, I've had to have these conversations with patients and their families that they need to understand, and get their PFTs done, their pulmonary function tests. They need to follow up with their primary care provider, because, you know, a lot of the things that they're experiencing are actually things that need to be managed not in an acute care facility. That they're actually things that should be managed outside, but people think they're going to circumvent the system by showing up at the hospital and receive faster care. And at the hospital, the goal is to, you know, get the person stabilized and send them back out and have them follow up with their primary doctor. They're not there to act as a primary doctor.
Thanks, Lynn. No, I'm not bringing this chair.
Right. Right.
I just feel numb.
Exactly.
That's not right.
Treat and street. Chantel is what we would probably call a frequent flyer. You know, they're just using the emergency rooms, you know, flying in and out to get whatever medical care they need without actually having a real doctor, you know. And usually when you know these types, because when you ask them who's your primary care physician, they don't have any. And they're, you know, older, you know, patients who, you know, you would hope would have, you know, established a relationship. Now, in the United States, it could be a little bit different because of, you know, some of the health inequities that we have, access to good health insurance. So there could be a number of factors here in the United States that could precipitate that. But Chantel has had, you know, medical conditions for an extended period of time. But even at the time when I think she was in Canada before moving to Kuwait, I don't think she really had any type of primary care. You know, she talks about needing a new battery for her CPAP. I mean, and maybe she can't get the CPAP, you know, that she needs because she's not a resident of Kuwait. And that would be an exemption for her living there as her, you know, chronic, you know, need for CPAP. I mean, that's, you know, brought on because of her morbid obesity. I hate to say it. And probably, you know, that's probably the primary reason as to why she needs to be on that CPAP. Not to be mean. Oh, that's okay, Cody. We just got started with the live.
I don't know. Can I? A cruise home?
I'm sure she has taken more medication.
So. I don't know.
I'm sure she's abusing the Farxiga, not understanding how it works, and she's already tried to abuse her Janumet, and she's probably trying to figure out how to abuse the Lantus, and none of those things are going to be effective unless she has diet and exercise changes. You can take 10 diabetes medications, but if the diet and the exercise does not change, you're not going to be able to control the disease. That's a proven fact. So for her to be, you know, willfully negligent in her other aspects of herself, it's only going to do so much. It really needs to be accompanied, and it says very clearly that you have to have diet and exercise changes. These medications, you know, any medication, even if you're taking ones for heart disease, they're going to want to put you in cardiac rehab at some point. Because you got to keep the heart strong. I mean, she doesn't exercise. Her just, you know, and the sciatica, I wonder, sometimes she talks about the lower back. That could be her kidneys that are hurting her. You know, she talks about the legs and the way she described the legs. You know, her blood sugar's been so high for so long. I would not be surprised if she's not starting to get peripheral neuropathy. She'd actually do probably quite well on some gabapentin, because that would actually help not only manage the peripheral neuropathy, but it is an off-label use for depression. So, I mean, she needs to be, you know, inpatient to take care of a lot of issues. And she needs to, you know, do some deep therapy around her disordered eating and her unwillingness to want to make changes. And, you know, an understanding about how she cannot out-medicate her diseases at this point. That is not going to be the total solution.
Prefer that over freaking
That's just
plane.
my thoughts.
And it would take like a week to get home.
Right. We think she's lying.
I can't take Julia until I have my place. Like, I'm gonna be homeless.
Dr. Now would fire
Where am I
her.
gonna put my pets? Which sucks, I know. Yeah, the flight is like, it's like a 16, 17 hour day. I'm going home.
And that's why I put in my thumbnail, lying or leaving. You know, is this to get, you know, Salah to toe the line, you know, because she's, you know, got unhappy with him, you know, so now she's going to go on about, you know, she's not looking forward to the flight because you don't buy a second seat, Chantel. But yeah. And she canceled her live because she's, you know, you'll hear in this one where she, you know, tells people this is not clickbait. She gets so, I wonder, it's hard to know if she's just so wrapped in her emotions and she needs to talk to somebody so desperately. She just comes out and spills stuff that she's just off the top of her head without really thought to it. Or she knows she's manipulating her audience and she needs the views and the money. That's why you can't ever take her seriously. She's spiraling. Oh, absolutely.
I don't know what I'm doing, Kiki. I have no clue yet. It's just best for me right now, honestly. So
she's looking for those super chats.
That's
Pat.
Nice.
Pat says, because people say I don't read things out. Pat says she can't help manage to keep her weepy eyes off that chat for more than a second. Right. And like I said, I think she's, you know, looking for the chats, you know, she's not looking at what they're saying. You know, she is, but, you know, because she's probably getting some sort of validation from their feeling so concerned for her. Like, and that's kind of fueling that narcissism in her, in my opinion. I'm speculating only. I do not diagnose or treat. Make sure you hit the likes though, so I go up the algorithm. But yeah. And so that's why, you know, the way I titled things, because you have to always think that, and that's why I wanted to start this live talking about the narcissistic lying and not feed into the visa run, the Kuwait thing, you know, because exactly, it's the duper's delight. Exactly. It is. She is definitely exhibiting, thank you, Kim, the duper's delight. I would agree with that. And I've spoken about that in one of my other lives a while back ago. I think I did one about duper's delight. And that was one of the things that we talked about before we actually watched her videos. Because I think it's so important not to just feed into the drama and actually sort of see how people use and manipulate platforms like YouTube and how she's manipulating, you know, people in the audience. And they could be understanding. They might even understand that they're being manipulated and enjoy feeding into the manipulation and into the chat about, oh, we feel so bad. We're so sorry. I mean, there's something that the audience is gaining from that too. So it's like, wow, it's just, you know, it's like, it's very interesting to see, you know, and other people who have, oh, shoot, let me play Chantel while I remember I haven't opened up my door to get best internet. Hold on.
Thanks, Capone. No, I'm not backtracking. Thanks. Lindsay, you're sweet. I appreciate it. I just want to hurry and get home, I guess, this time.
This lady, Lindsay, is desperate to get her over to the UK. Oh, my goodness, Lindsay. Promise you. She would have a tough time waddling around some of the small houses in the UK.
Anyway, just...
Right. Yes, she's pulling. Yes, she's absolutely potentially pulling a stunt at this point, Pat Ray.
I mean, you guys are going to know, like, when I'm not here. Am I going to miss the heat? No.
So she's again, because I think we've heard this before. Oh, I'm back to Canada. You guys are going to know when I'm not here. you know, and you know, Karen, we all love you so very much, and there's love hearts and kisses, you know. And if she's not getting this from Salah and she needs to get the validation, she's gonna definitely get it from her audience. You know, she's definitely gonna get that validation from her beezers, you know, so they're gonna make her feel good all day long. Oh, did I not? Oh, she's
Yeah, it's just I have to just focus on myself. That's all. We'll still be friends and everything. That's just I can't be married.
Oh gosh. And those appropriate shoes of hers. Yeah, you got this, girl. Uh-oh. Somebody sent her 10 pounds.
Speedy Bird, you Googled it? No way.
Tilly T decided to send 10 pounds. Girl, the economy terrible in the UK. Keep those pounds in your pocket. Take those over to Poundland, girl. Get yourself something else. Do not be sending it to Chantel. Go take yourself immediately over to Poundland and get something else, girl. Yes.
Blender stands for. Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, my blender. Tilly T, shock out of the blue. Good luck, girl. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. It's been really hot this summer.
Yeah, my play button.
I can't show that comment, Kim. Oh, she does? Not the pound.
I mean, I do have a lot of health issues that, like, you know, would be definitely better taken care of. I know I said, you know, like I could technically get things taken care of here, but not like every single.
And that, you know, just you guys watching and then, you know, us going up the algorithm and stuff. I always appreciate the super chats and super things. I think any creator does, because obviously it, you know, we have to pay a certain proportion to the AdSense, to Google AdSense, but she knows she's getting ads on here too. And she was just so accustomed to just being flooded with super chats, you know, when she was in the NADA era. I think it's been a surprise to her. But I think she's lost a lot of her audience along the way, because she's, you know, she's really clearly ruining her health, just on a daily basis.
Single thing.
Nobody wants to do all that.
Is there really cruises? I don't know. Maybe they'll bring the nashi back. I don't know.
That's wild.
The quesadilla. No. Why do you guys make me laugh? It's not a laughing matter. It's sad when the shoe we want the most doesn't fit. Exactly. Exactly. I ordered food already. I'm starving, but I don't have an appetite. Like, I don't know. It's like a comfort.
I find that very difficult to believe. I find that very difficult to believe that she does not have an appetite and has ordered food. That's in my mind performative. You know, people do, you know, I would see Chantel as a stress eater. You know, I know there's all certain people who don't eat when they're stressed, and there's other people that do eat when they're stressed. And since I think Chantel's go-to in moments of stress, like some people smoke cigarettes, her go-to is probably food and the hookah at this point in Kuwait.
For thing, I guess.
In my opinion.
Nixie, no.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense of that.
Feel free hugs. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. On the dashboard? I don't have a car. Yeah, YouTube over. It's just one of those things, you know? Yeah, I mean, we love each other, but that's just sometimes not enough.
Hey, Kat, come on in. Okay, sorry.
ECP, I'm going back home to Canada, so I don't have the Kia anymore. I'm probably gonna just like rent a car for now. With SJM. Yeah, I don't want any.
So she's trying to sort of give this poor me, I don't have the key anymore in Canada. She starts to, go on about the struggles that she's going to be facing if, on the move back to Canada. And then people are over here, who broke up with who? You don't have the key anymore? It's just like, and then somebody's over here, I miss the Nashies. It's just, I always have to, shake my head at the audience over here that just sort of, feed into her manipulative tactics. And like I said, I think they get something from it themselves, it's something that they're gaining by, being this sort of validating to her
roommates. I just want to dig a hole and live in it.
Yeah, she is emotionally
Honestly, if
starving.
I had the key, I would just live in it. I'd live in my car.
Live in the car. Yes. The pieces are pretty pathetic. Yeah. It's a repeat ploy. Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just need a battery for my CPAP. Technically I sold the Kia. I didn't think I was ever going back to Canada for a long time. Van life.
That's an interesting term. Technically, she sold the Kia. That's an interesting use of the word technically, because it's kind of giving her a way out if she were ever to go back to Canada and show up in the Kia. So again, is this, her trying to get sympathy? Kat's been married for 24 years over here. Kat, you should know better than this. Oh, van life. Get a van and convert it into a home and take us on road trips across Canada. Dreaming of Everest, which we know Chantel does. Their username is probably trying to, mirror that. Is, obviously deluded to think that this person could do anything of that nature. That Chantel could healthfully move around in order to create van life. It's like they all have this fantasy. It's like it's the fantasy channel, because Chantel is in such, dire health, really. Because you see what she eats and she doesn't exercise. And I know as a practitioner, that's a recipe for a disastrous body. That you cannot eat the way that she has been consistently eating and then have zero activity and, zero healthy habits. Your body is, after a time, is not going to be able to get into homeostasis with so much, abuse to it. You've got to exercise. I used to tell my patients the cheapest prescription, and these were my older patients in cardiac rehab, cheapest prescription I can give you is to exercise. That's the cheapest prescription. Most doctors, we don't want people on a ton of medications. We don't want people having to take all of these different things to combat what their lifestyle choices are. We rather the person just try to adopt some healthier lifestyles, have portion control, eat, literally what they said in this diabetes management. And I looked at things to do with weight management as well. They had another great lecture from the University of California, San Francisco on weight management. That was another very interesting one. And they basically said, eat plants. So all the types of food she does not enjoy eating are what they recommend that somebody should eat. Primarily plants. You should be eating whole foods, fresh foods, not, the Taco Bells and stuff. That's just a dopamine hit for her. That's just hitting her reward center. But it's nothing to do, because being healthy is not a reward to Chantel. She complains about that all the time.
You need, to buy a van, you need a lot of money.
Oh, no.
I'm glad you were able to, Cat Black.
Right. They don't. Julia will finally be free.
Get a Scooby van. I am depressed. I'm very, very, very depressed right now. I'm trying hard not to throw up. I'm trying hard not to cave. man. I guess I just need support.
So she's out here because she needs the support. Throw up. I mean, this is all very dramatic. I mean, this is, I don't treat or diagnose, but the narcissistic personality traits are very much on show at this time, just in my speculation. I have to use that language because I do not treat or diagnose.
I think we've all been through a lot worse together, so you pray love journey. My eyes are set.
Oh, she would.
I'm just feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah. Yep, wiping tearful eye.
Yeah, I do miss my family a lot too.
Yes, the last thing, setting up a GoFundMe, because Chantel is the person who just deserves a GoFundMe. The woman who blew thousands of dollars away, Canadian, on drugs, I should say, and not medical drugs either. We're talking street uncontrolled. Some controlled through the gummy shops, and I have nothing against marijuana for medical uses. I promise you, I much rather have a patient treated for pain with marijuana than with opioids a lot of time. I've had much better results with my patients, believe it or not, who do take medical marijuana to help manage pain so they can go to sleep at night, and rather than somebody who's going to build up a tolerance very quickly on an opioid, and they don't get the same relief often. So, but I don't think Chantel is using it for medical purposes in that way.
Really, ACP? Thanks, Jackie.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Boo Squeezy.
Yeah,
I'm about to write a paper about that one, actually, for school. Oh, you're out, Miss Catherine? Oh, well, we'll catch up with you later. It was so lovely to have you in the chat, girl.
I know. Yeah, Lizzie.
This was sped up to 1.25. Goodness, she is really talking quick today.
I don't know, Nancy.
Oh, some change might be the best for you, they're saying.
I appreciate it, guys.
They're, very supportive. Oh, it's the face of just sadness here.
Anyway.
Long dramatic pauses. People telling her if she deserves happiness. Tilly T says fake news. Somebody wants to know if Salar's still a moderator.
No, it's not fake news. I hope so, Everest, yeah. Is it cool in Canada? I don't want to go on the plane. You can't take a boat from the Middle East all the way to Canada. Isn't that like really far? Like the icebergs? What nasty. How? I don't know.
I don't mean to laugh. I know some people are like, you laugh, I'm always laughing and just kind of, the recommendations coming from the chat for her to take a cruise, as if, I guess they all think that Chantel is still teeming with money because Salar's this big businessman. And so they're kind of, giving a rhetoric that she's got all these resources, at her feet, at hand, I should say.
Meet and greet.
Yeah, I know that would be the only thing that's sad.
An ocean.
I know, definitely. Tiny violin.
I don't know. Julia, Salah will keep her for now.
Yeah, they're very not my favorite drugs for people.
No, I'm laughing because you guys make me laugh, even though I'm sad.
I mean, Ativan, if you're, really having a moment of anxiety, but I think as providers, we're much more hesitant, to, prescribe as they had been in the past. You know, they were originally really for patients with cancer and, you know, the pain that goes along with that. And then they started getting used more in the orthopedic world. And I think that just started to cause some real issues. I know in my area, we still have, you know, huge amounts of parts of Virginia that still deal with the opioid crisis. They have a place in medicine. But I think there was a time when people could literally show up in an emergency room and hope they would be prescribed them for a toothache or some pain. And maybe initially when they were sold to physicians that they had non-addictive properties to them, that potentially that was happening more. But I think, you know, that's so long ago. And so when people try to, you know, people are literally, you know, I've seen some wild things happen for patients to get themselves, you know, into hospitals and use their chronic conditions in order to get an acute care stay, in order to get these types of pain medications, especially through their IVs. I mean, I've seen people literally do some horrific things. I'm not even going to say it because it's so bad, you know, and I mean, you know, the person, because, you know, obviously pain is subjective and that's where people are able to manipulate the system. I think they're trying to find things that we can actually kind of see the receptors in the brain to see if people actually are experiencing pain, rather than it just coming from the patient's word. But every patient experiences pain differently. And so it's, you know, and you have to take the word of the patient. So, but there has been times where doctors have literally written in the patient's chart, like, you know, their complaints of pain don't really match with what the condition is. And so you have to kind of, you know, wonder, you know, how much is the patient trying to manipulate the system? But you can't say that to a patient. That's, you know, unethical. So there are a lot of, you know, you have to go by what they're stating to you because, you know, and so you just, again, you have to take the patient's word and honesty. And, you know, it's difficult. It's very difficult. That's all I'm going to say.
I didn't book a flight yet, but I was going to do that today. So.
Yeah, nobody's entitled. You're right.
I don't know. I have a lot to figure out. It is deja vu. I've been here exactly, kind of, except that I didn't break up. We didn't break up. Transatlantic cruises are rare. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they get a lot of, you know, clicks and money. That's, you know, Chantel's a classic e-beggar. if you know, she is e-begging hard today. I've watched an interesting character. I don't know if anybody is familiar with a lady by the name of Heather Gillespie or Dusty. And she came off on a series called Love After Lockup. Somehow I stumbled onto this person one day when I was, you know, looking at, you know, possible, you know, other problematic people to talk about. And she is wild. I mean, her, you know, but I, you know, sense that she's got a lot of underlying potential mental issues going on. You can kind of see it in her speech patterns and stuff, you know. In my speculation, like I said, I don't treat or diagnose. But if she is, but yeah, just putting out there.
They're so expensive.
All this thing, Ativan nearly killed you. Yes.
So.
Right. Yes. That's one of the problems with benzodiazepines is that you cannot just come off a benzo if you've been long-term on a benzodiazepine. You actually have to titrate a lot of these medications down. That's, you know, one of the particularly dangerous things about Xanax. Alprazolam is that it is, you know, can give you a great euphoric feeling. It's highly addictive. They often use these drugs because it is beneficial to help people with withdrawals from alcohol. But you need to get more and more of these drugs often to get the kind of same effects. You really do build up a tolerance quite quickly, which then can lead to abuse and misuse of these medications. and you never can just come off them. You actually have to, be very diligently titrated off of them. Half a Xanax to go to the dentist or whatever because you have anxiety. 0.5 milligrams. And you're taking it once every 6 months is not going to, lead to something like that. But there was a time too when every lady who was coming, every one of my pregnant friends was, getting any type of, postpartum depression. The doctors were just writing constant scripts for alprazolam. I could not believe the amount of Xanax they were handing out back, 15 years ago. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, my friends would be, taking Xanax and mixing alcohol. I mean, dangerous combinations here. So yeah, there's a lot that, they do good for, but there's a lot of, you've got to, be very cautious. You can't just stop cold turkey because you've got to titrate these medications down. It's like when you see like MLM people sort of trying to suggest people should come off their Seroquel, their, one of their SSRI medications for depression. And they, saying that happy juice will, replace that. You don't have to take your, medications at all. It's so dangerous just to stop these drugs. You've got to titrate these things down. I mean, you could cause a lot of harm to somebody. And so it's just, the medical misinformation and the misunderstanding that people have around pharmacology is not surprising to me. And it's not helped through so much misinformation in social media. And that's something that's become a primary area of research for the American Psychological Association, is looking at how social media spreads so much misinformation. And, how do we as, providers start to, work our way through that with patients?
We'll see.
Oh, come on in, Fatty Fed. You are fine. I'm taking far too long talking about Chantel's lies potentially over here. Yeah, Xanax is a bane. Yes, it is.
Mercy me, I'm going back to Canada. He's a moderator, yeah. I didn't have time to do anything.
She's
obviously
no
decisions really. It was kind of hasty, but like I know I have to go back, so. And it's done with.
Yeah. Oh, here she goes. Trying to keep up with what she's saying.
Lying down seat in first class. See, why do you guys make me laugh?
Because you're not really sad or depressed, Chantel. And you're probably laughing because your audience actually believes that you have the finances to afford a first class plane seat to fly back home to Canada. And you probably are enjoying the fact that they think that that's what you should be in as first class, that you're a first class, passenger. I can imagine, first class passengers being horrified to see Chantel. I've been able to fly first class twice in my life, and both of the times it's because I got bumped up on a flight. One time they put me in first class because there were like delays, and I was like the last person to get to the gate because I was young. I was probably off doing something, who knows what, just taking my time to get to the gate, and they had to I guess combine flights. And because I was a single passenger on my own and not flying with anybody else, I got bumped up to first class to go transatlantic. So that was pretty cool. But, obviously, and I sat next to this very nice businessman, and they treat you wonderfully. Another time was because I was flying back from a flight in Mexico, and the guy that I was flying back with wasn't a boyfriend of mine, it was a friend of mine. Was a very attractive young man and was able to somehow, because we needed to get home, both of us and other people. Anyway, he managed to charm basically the ladies at the airline to bump us up to first class. So both have been by complete sheer accident because it's not within my finances.
No, they're going to make me pay. Do you know how much first class costs?
Oh my
gosh.
Wow.
There's no there's no such thing whenever you get married as a Muslim, you don't take each other's things.
I don't know about that, Claudette.
Just split up.
I don't know if
you
we.
are
Oh
left with
well,
whatever you
yeah.
have.
Yes,
Nobody
we
gets
should.
anybody's anything
Hold on, we
in
should
Muslim
for a
marriage.
second. Yes, actually, I think at this moment we actually do need this. I think you're right.
No. I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have that's dry begging. Well, I mean, you know what that is. No.
Yes, thank you, Claudette, for reminding me to bring old Judge Mathis out on that one, because she is starting the dry beg hard at this time. The e-begging, you know, the dry beg it's all here. Somebody says, is this a visa run or are you serious? And, you know, some people, if you tell them you're disabled, they can not give you a lying down seat, i.e. first class. Chantel is not disabled. I'm sure that they need some type of, you know, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Chantel to want to show up in a wheelchair to get that, though. So, I mean, she certainly thinks she's, you know, that's why she doesn't like to fly through Frankfurt, because they did not classify her as disabled and would not just like, you know, take her, the queen, to her next destination. She actually had to go like with the masses and actually, you know, make her way there, which most of us regular folk have to do. It's amazing how, you know, special and entitled she is. And that's because at one point, her channel, she was making a lot of money. And because of the, you know, and the increase, and now she got her little 100K plaque sitting over there. You know, all of these things are things that narcissists love. I mean, in my speculation, I mean, about her being a narcissist. Oh my goodness, MK. Thank you so much for the super. Let me read what we have here. Hey, MK, come on in. She says, so important. Wish there were more improvements towards research for chronic pain patients who depend on opioids for relief. Limited meds out there actually make a difference. Yeah, I think you're right on that, MK, which is why I'm so fascinated. I am this week going to be writing a paper about a patient who has a neurological disorder and has been treated for pain. Sorry, I won't cover myself up so much. Thank you for that chat. Is using medical marijuana and opioids, and about how would we approach this patient if they had had a 2 out of 10 pain rate that suddenly moved up to a 4 out of 10 pain rate. So I think within the medical community, we all certainly trying to find better solutions for people's pain, because obviously any drug that you give is going to have a side effect. Some of those side effects of that drug are going to be beneficial to the patient, and other side effects are going to be harmful to the patient. So it's an area, I think, in medicine, since medicine is such a new science and reality. And I think there's a lot to be said sometimes, even with cognitive behavioral therapies and some retraining of the brain. And so that's something and psychiatry that is fascinating, because we all, you know, certain types of back pain, they find that, you know, potentially doing a cognitive approach could get the patient relief. So yeah, I think it's something that we certainly, you know the limitations of drugs like opioids, which is why in reality, there, you know, really should be probably more utilized for patients who we know sadly have, you know, cancer and stage 4 and potentially at end of life, in order to help manage that pain. Because you just you're not worrying about at those times of the patient becoming addicted to these drugs. You just want the patient to feel comfort and relief at their end of life. So it's, I've certainly, and I know there's a lot of controversy around drugs like marijuana, but I think within a medical perspective, there are some good, it's hard to research it because there are so many laws that prohibit the use of the drug, and still at a federal level. So being able to, see how the drug actually helps with the pain receptors and potentially is not as addicting for the patient, it's difficult to study further. But I'm hoping as we progress in the future, we can find solutions that are beneficial to the patient. It's always a hope. Yeah. Yes, thank you for that generosity. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yes. I said something about me. Weed is not without right, but I'm suspicious of people who claim to need it. Also on about getting high. So, well, Bella Wolf, there are studies that are starting. It's depending on whether you're using it in a medical setting, and of course, no drug is without side effects. It's not a miracle drug, but potentially for the management of pain, it could be a little bit better than some of the opioids that we prescribe patients. I know with patients with cancer, because it does allow people to have an appetite where they maybe don't want to eat. It can help patients with wanting to actually eat. There is a drug called Marinol, which is, I believe, a THC derivative that we do use with elderly patients with a failure to thrive. Obviously, smoking it is not always beneficial because we need to make sure that we're protecting the lungs. But it's, it's like anything. You were trying to find solutions for patients, and because we've not been able to research it any further, then it's difficult to know where it can have benefits. Most drugs that we see have a plant-based derivative. That's how we discovered a lot of our medications is because of being from a plant-based derivative. So yeah. But you don't get, well, see, the thing is that, unfortunately, opioids have very high levels of abuse. And so, there's still, concerns around that. They try to control that with MS Cotton. The problem is that the tolerance is built up very easily with those medications. And therefore, you do need to try to, so the doses keep having to be increased. And there's obviously so many side effects with opioids, problems with constipation. So there's other side effects that can come along with that drug. So it's like anything. So, and they can be very difficult to titrate patients off of them. Like I said, we just don't have enough research into the other areas. And so as somebody in the medical community, we always should keep an open mind to what we can potentially use in order to help our patients with pain management. So yeah, but a lot of people abuse the opioids, unfortunately, Bella Wolf. Okay, did I freeze? I did freeze. Darn it. I froze, guys. Hold on. Oh, goodness. This happened the other day. Hold on. I'm back on. Sorry, I became frozen for a second. All right, I am back. Sorry about that. I probably lost half my audience at that time. Chantel must have thrown a wrench into my StreamYard there for a second. So I apologize, everybody, but I am back. Let me get her back. Oh, there we go, big. Let me bring. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Sometimes I think I overload the StreamYard. Yeah. The good news is that we are able to have discussions around these things, and that's what we should always do, is have a discussion, No, you're not supposed, and I don't think that, oh my goodness. See, yeah, fentanyl is a very strong drug. That's for sure. Yeah. And I think that the more research we're able to do, the more we're able to, learn about these things. So I'm fascinated because I'm getting into the neuroscience on it more, and seeing how we can help address,
I have to start over from scratch. I need every friggin' bit of money I can get that I can have. So I'm not going to spend $8,000 on a first class seat.
Oh,
no way.
Good for you, Peachy. I'm all proud of everybody here.
I want to talk about like the divorce or anything like that. Just yeah, no, it's not hasty. I'm definitely going back.
Yeah, it does help
real soon.
And I think that's the important part too, is being able to have, enough time to work with the patient in order to find out what would be the best pain regimens for them, and you certainly don't want people to get, things like Percocets and things like that can be highly addictive for people. And then they have to use more and more. And a lot of people abuse them and they don't take them, correctly. So yeah, it's, I think like any drug is open to abuse. Chantel is trying to, at times, was abusing her Janumet. That is literally her taking not the dose that was recommended. That was her actually having drug misuse. And so that is something that is actually frowned upon. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a controlled substance or an uncontrolled narcotic. It could even be abused with medications that you would not think to be abused. So, yeah, it's always an interesting topic. And Chantel is over here, talking about the sadness of returning back to Canada. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Pat Ray. Appreciate that. Yeah, me too. Bella Wolf. I'm just glad that you're able to manage that well. Some people don't manage it as well, though. You see, that's what we always have to think about too. But I'm proud of anybody who's been able to overcome an addiction, because that's a difficult thing.
I want to do this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Well, some people sadly might have deeper issues that they're using the drugs to be able to, mask other things that they have, traumas and stuff. So, that's why it's so important, I think, that we start to expand mental health services and get more practitioners practicing, because I think a lot of things, might be able to be addressed in therapy, and people might be misusing their medications because there could be another underlying issue that they're trying to deal with. So I think, it's always important to be open-minded as a provider and listen to the needs of your patient and work together as a team to create what would be the best treatment plan for them. And for the patient to participate in that, because if a person is invested into their, in creating the plan, then you're going to have a greater success with them. That's kind of what you always hope. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Bella Wolf. And I'm so glad that your doctors took the time for you for that.
I'm going to take the Thailand hat. No, it's going to make me
I'm very proud of you, Peachy.
I can't really say, like, I'm going to keep a lot of privacy and respect each other.
So for whatever reason, this is why I almost think this was Chantel, kind of having a little bit of a trauma dump, trying to get the sympathy, back to, what they're saying about, from Dr. Coulter. And this is a speculation that, that she displays narcissistic personality traits, and she's, lying to get the sympathy, but she's, she doesn't really want to, be as she was with Salah the time in Canada when she found out about Kybella and just like really going off about him, because she's obviously trying to leave that door open because she's still, so that's why I just wonder if this is just for, threatening him, because she has a history of doing that. When she's upset with him, she'll threaten a return back to Canada. It's obviously not very mature, and then she uses it as a live stream.
Be mature about it, but for me, it's best that I'm alone and at home. I'm trying, Tilly.
Yeah.
Outside of Canada, I don't know, ECP. Rent out their basement. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Make sure she's still at 1.25. Oh, she's at normal. Let me speed her up.
Grandpa. He's coming to Canada to visit. I don't know how he's going to drive. And he's driving.
Hmm?
I wouldn't advise it at his age, but... Thank you, Lettuce and Time. Thank you guys for the kindness. Yeah.
She's, I'm trying to figure out, is she very measured in how she's, keeping her voice pattern, her, just this kind of droll, sort of persona that she's giving at this time, that, oh, I'm so sad. This is so bad. This is, it's just, I really am not sensing. I would be surprised if we see her in Canada. I'd be surprised. I could be wrong.
Think of Disney bees, yeah. I don't know what. That's the first thing. I'm going home. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think they're doing more research into that, Bella.
Thanks, Racy PC. I'm stressed out, so.
Oh, off on the side, smoking the hookah. Yep, that's what she's doing. She's vaping, or she's definitely smoking something on the side that she doesn't want people to see, because obviously she's supposed to be, she does not look well. I mean, I know she has filters on, but she definitely, looks like she's starting to get, edematous again, getting, some fluid overload here. Her skin, even the filter, you can tell that it's, not looking healthy. It's just, I always wonder, the rosacea, this looks like the mark of a CPAP mask here often. Potentially it's too tight for her face, and causing this redness over here. If she's, doing the damage she does with the food and with her diabetes, I would not be surprised if she's starting to get signs of heart failure. I really do. I already know that they're putting her on a statin medication, and that was either prophylactic in order to prevent any cholesterol, atherosclerotic plaque buildup in the coronary arteries, or they did get back her cholesterol panel and saw that she was starting to get elevated low density lipoproteins, and then have put her on a statin, both of which are heart, either way, it's heart protective. So there is something that is starting to indicate that she can potentially, well, already the diabetes is a vascular disease. Diabetes is a disease of the vasculature, the veins, but basically. And so obviously, it's not, that's what it really is a disease of, because that's where it does its most damage. And if you are diabetic and at the level she is, you are going to get atherosclerotic coronary artery buildup. It's just that the two go hand in hand. So that's why they've had to put her on that statin medication. And obviously, she doesn't do anything to change her diet. She does not exercise, which is just going to keep contributing to these issues.
Oh my gosh, Gina Bear, really? That's hilarious. Thanks, Sandra.
I don't know about that. She's
Recently,
probably not quite at that place, Pam.
I feel like
But
a zombie.
she definitely needs to take a turnaround.
Thanks, guys. No turnaround.
Thank you. Miss Eloise came in.
Maybe,
Yes, like shards of glass. Absolutely.
I love going home.
Fiberglass, too. Even worse. Yeah, yeah, definitely. She's either getting it through
If I'm not married, there's nothing for me here, really, honestly. I don't mind living here, but
that's the most honest thing she said. Oh, you are fine, Eloise. You are fine, girl. I know you're working hard lately.
No walnut crunch.
That's probably the most honest thing she said all day. Next to her, not liking to show weakness, is that she doesn't have much going on for her in Kuwait. She really doesn't. She does not have any interest in actually participating in the culture there. She has never gone to anything in a mosque, even though she says that she's a Muslim revert. She has not taken really any time to learn about the culture. I just don't think that she has the intellectual curiosity to do any of those things. And so she's not somebody who is really a great traveler. She can say that she goes to all these foreign countries, but just putting a stamp on a passport is very different from actually having, genuine interest in the places that you're visiting. She has no desire to really be part of the culture in Kuwait. And that, I think, is just Chantel more than anything else. That's stemming from her, not from the country that she's living in. She's, she hasn't learned the Quran. She doesn't speak the language. She doesn't speak Arabic. She hasn't bothered to take classes in Arabic. She could have had a teacher coming over and teaching her Arabic and showing that to people, but she doesn't do any of that. She's no interest.
Yeah, he's been supporting me. It's not about that. It's not about
right,
support.
And not even the good food.
Oh, Lindsay, I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you. But I have to go home. Like, my sciatica's hurting so bad. I just want to ERBs.
She wants to be she wants to ERBs. Is that what she just said? We have to go back on that for a second. I would say, hold on, let me go back. Let me stop this. I was going back to the question that Pixie had. She's not admitting defeat. She's lying to get sympathy. This is not defeat. This is Chantel manipulating her audience. She's not admitting any defeat. We don't even know if she's really going back anywhere. She potentially just is having a lack of dopamine receptor hits because she didn't get her fast food fix. So I don't think Chantel has admitted any defeat at this point. This is her just manipulating, I think, because, narcissists like to manipulate. And if she knows this is something that could manipulate people, then she'll use it. It's nothing to do with the defeat.
It's not about that. It's not about support.
Let's go, Lindsay.
Lindsay, I appreciate it.
Lindsay is like offering free flight points for her to get over to the UK. Please, Eloise, they're trying to get her over to you guys.
Thank you. But I have to go home. Like, my sciatica is hurting so bad. I just want to, like, ERBs.
Yeah, and that's, she has never had a diagnosis for sciatica. I swear she's going to die on that hill that she has sciatica. And I think she's never actually had an MRI to diagnose sciatica. A doctor is not going to let a patient just walk into a room with not a previous medical history and have her say, well, I think it's sciatica. And the doctor be like, yeah, it must be. The only way that they would agree is then they would say, okay, if that's, we need to then, if after a physical assessment, then they would send her for a diagnostic test to actually have that confirmed. I think that her pain is either one coming from her, morbid obesity and the amount of weight she carries around the abdomen. I try not to be offensive because I don't want to upset anybody, but it is unfortunately a disease. I also wonder if she is having issues that she said about her kidneys. That's obviously going to cause lower back pain as well. And we're talking about Eloise and I just confirming about the diabetes being a disease of the vasculature, and that she is potentially starting to have or has not had already the starts of peripheral neuropathy. And all of those are going to cause a lot of, pain and discomfort too. So it's, I think that, but she wants to die on the sciatica hill without even being diagnosed. And I think that she will just keep saying it and saying it and saying it. I don't know if she thinks sciatica is going to get her more sympathy. I'm not sure. I doubt that is what her problem is.
I made the decision. I can't take the cherry. It's not even my car.
Yeah, she is a doctor.
Thanks, Kelly.
Well, there could be.
Yeah. Probably.
I mean, there could be pressure on her sciatic nerve. I've also wondered about her piriformis getting more, which is also known as sitting disease, when you get the piriformis nerve being hit too. So, I mean, that's one that comes more from, not sitting in the same place for a long period of time. But I think unless she gets an actual, an MRI and some type of diagnostic test, she doesn't know if she has sciatica or not. So I think it's just, something that she, and she does, and that's not going through an ER. You don't go to an ER and get your sciatica taken care of. You need to go to your primary care doctor who's going to order a diagnostic test, and then they will set you up with physical therapy.
Yeah. Hi, Georgia girl.
Yes.
I know, Leslie. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Ashley. I appreciate it, guys. I just appreciate the thoughts and everything.
Right.
Kia is no longer in my possession. I didn't think I was going back there, so I got rid of it. I'm going to rent a car for now. I don't know. When I have a place, I'll probably be in the house most of the time, and then we can go walking. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Well, no, of course not, because you don't know how to formulate the plan.
I'm just numb, Laura. I'm numb. I'm tired of crying.
Oh, she didn't get her food yesterday.
Yeah, there's no more Kia.
Is that a Judge Mathis? She's, the audience is really going to come for her, about having, if the doctors in Canada had any thoughts of sciatica during her previous visits, they looked into it. When I had kidney stones, they checked my entire trunk. Yeah, I think that, she went in, with probably elevated blood sugars last time, or she went in with maybe she did get the norovirus, and it caused her to get sick too. Who knows? Who knows? You suffer from peripheral neuropathy? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I would love to sit down to Sweet. Right. She's I think she really does have a lot of issues. I mean, going back to Canada, unfortunately, and becoming part of the healthcare system there would probably be her best bet. But again, she just wants to go through the ER. She just wants to go through the ER because they'll see her more rapidly than her having to wait to actually make appointments to see physicians. And she already, supposedly did the therapy one and done. And I don't know what, maybe Canada's super generous and let her keep coming back. In the United States, after a while, they'll fire you as a patient.
Sorry.
Especially if you're not showing up to your appointments. Oh. Oh.
Thank you, Black Zillion.
Oh, Bella Wolf. I'm just glad you're taking care of yourself, girl.
Nice to see you. Tanuki,
You are beezing. I know.
Loyalty beezers, Tanuki. Thank you. Ready, set, bees.
Oh, gosh.
I gotta do something about this.
Ready, set, bees. She's still got the energy to be out here for 50 some minutes to get, a long enough live stream to get some good AdSense going. Girl, I don't think tomorrow we will hear she's not going back to Canada, or the next couple of days, probably.
I'm swept. Yeah, I appreciate the support, guys. And get back on my feet. Yeah, I hope so.
I like the Canadians. They're going on. I don't even get into politics here in this country. Lord of my life.
Anyway. No, it's not Mercy Me. It's not that. I'm going home very soon.
Yeah.
I have to book a flight. I would love to go to Boston someday. Yeah, Laura. Like,
girl, you can't afford Boston. Yeah. Boston is expensive, very expensive. You cannot afford Boston at this time. Right. Might be more believing she stopped smirking. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I have some money, but not like a
She's
ton
a
of money.
Smirker over here.
I have a lot of debt. So, having him pay most of the bills here.
Yes, at least we forget how much money she still owes to the Canadian government for unpaid taxes. And who knows if she's even caught up with her taxes from 2023, because she was in Kuwait, which she probably should have been paying taxes to the country of Kuwait while she was sitting in Kuwait and working on her YouTube channel. I think she tries to skirt around a lot of these laws. She's I guess, Pete's will always be there for her. But I don't know if he's going to be willing to, co-sign on a property with her. She's not got. The Beezers expect for her to be like a queen. They don't want to see sad Chantel, over there. They want to see her out there beezing and, ruining her health.
Sure, it's helpful.
That's what they anticipate from her.
Anyway, I'll be okay.
Right. Boston is so expensive.
Build from scratch. That's all.
God, one of the most expensive cities in the United States.
I wouldn't joke about this. The animals are going to stay with Salah for now. Like, it's his cat too.
Why?
I'm not settled. I can't bring her. I don't have anywhere to bring her to.
Gosh.
So I gotta, unfortunately.
Cat is not vaccinated, probably has no papers. There's certain things that you have to do in order to bring an animal into another country. I have brought 2 animals from Mexico into the United States and was much younger than you, Chantel, and understood, and this is at a time before the internet. And I know I had to do certain steps in order to make sure that I could get my animals into the country. And I have been seeing regularly, they've been seen regularly by their vet, was able to get all their paperwork, but there were still, processes that I had to ensure in order, to show up to the airport early. There was a lot of things, and, I just don't think that you're the forward planner for that.
They leave her here for
just
now.
In my impression of you sometimes, sweetheart. Oh, yeah.
I didn't get much for the
Oh, yeah. Oh, the IRS, you do not want to mess
Seriously,
with.
look up what that's worth. And there's so much damage to it. The whole front end is off. I hit a giant monster beaver, remember? Yeah.
I thought she said she sold the Kia. So which is it?
I didn't sell it to just anybody. I sold it to someone I know.
Of course. Did Pete's get the Kia? Does Pete's have the Kia?
Thank
We
you,
know
Cillian.
who bought the Kia?
The frog is the rabbit. Hey, Vampira.
You'll see the Kia just lying around on the
Go on
street in
Marketplace
Canada
and get a place to
somewhere.
live. Or a hotel. I don't know. I don't even want to think about these things.
Oh,
right
her
now.
aunt?
I have so much to figure
Ooh.
out. It's so overwhelming.
Well, they
I just
must
wanna
have been just
lay
doing her a
and just
favor
not
then.
do anything. No, I'm not really okay, honestly.
Right. Yes. I know. This is getting I try to be professional and therapeutic as much as possible, but I'm afraid we're gonna have to do something, Chantel. And it doesn't even pay me to do it.
No. I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have best dry bacon. Well, I mean, you know what that is.
Gosh, Judge Mathis is gonna get tired today, girl. I'm pulling him out of retirement.
Weekly raise. I wouldn't clickbait this and say that I'm leaving if I'm not.
Oh wow. That's interesting. I did not know Pete's did not drive.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Motel
remember
6,
she
we
can
have
get her
Super
cats
8s.
back
I don't
too.
know. I really don't. Even hotel.
I'm amazed she has not mentioned, getting Sam back at this point. Because usually that's her go-to at this time. Is that she wants, sorry, I keep leaning down because Junebug's next to me and wants pets.
Hotels are like $2,000 a month at least for a shitty one. With like one of those old bedspreads that have cigarette burns.
We think the aunt paid it off. Her family is enabling then.
Yeah, Texas. I think so. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I really can't say. Thanks, Lindsay. Going back to Canada, Vampira. You can buy a new blanket.
I'm
Yeah.
suspicious.
I don't really want to stay with family because it's not like I need privacy.
Thank
in my
you,
life,
Beverly.
and they have busy lives.
Aww.
On kayak.
Oh, well, I'm so glad, Mrs. Muerta. It's hard to lift spirits with Chantel. Oh gosh.
Yeah, Vampira.
I know.
I'm not kidding. I'm going home. Like you guys will see when I'm in Canada. I've never lied about going back there. Every time I go.
See, there are people who are like, are you sure you're going back? Yes, live with your mom and get your health together at least for 4. I don't think Chantel's mother wants her living there. I mean, she is a 40-year-old individual. And I know that due to some hard economic times in the country and probably in Canada, I know Australia has been really having some tough times, the UK. I mean, it's a global thing. And how willing are her family in financially supporting her, because she's somebody that once she's in the house, how is she getting out? She's they will not let her film her YouTube in there. Supposedly if she doesn't have the Kia, and we don't know if that's just a dry bag or an e-bag or whichever bag she's going through at this time, how is she going to be producing content for people? How is she going to drive through, up to Tim Hortons? How is she going to produce content if she's, going through these things? So it's things are hard at the moment. I know, because I've been out of work and waiting to start my new job, and I had to come out of work because I got sick, unfortunately, and it prevented me from being able to work with patients. And so I started up my little YouTube channel. I had more time for that, and was able to start to feel better enough because I actually had to come out of grad school because I wasn't well enough to study. And it actually gave me time to think about changing my focus of my MP. And I kind of excited that I did, because I've always been fascinated on the classes in psychology that I had. So anyway, no, I won't talk about me, but there's plans that need to be formulated, Chantel. It's not just, you know, I like I said, I don't think her mom is going to be opening the doors to her, because, you know, there were so many problems when she was living there, and with some weird stuff going on with people from the YouTube world.
Oh. I know it's like out of left field because I've been so private. Like, you guys don't know anything that goes on like in my life and what I'm really feeling. I just come on here and bees, but
I don't know if it's a, yeah, you bees, but you do other things too.
Maybe Wolf Puppy still can.
I don't know if she's even going to get onto a plane, Tess. We don't know how much of this is just a big old, manipulation tactic, or she just trying to make Salah concerned.
I know, I never say, but this is going to be permanent.
Oh, she wants to, I promise you.
Yeah, Kina. LHR, I haven't asked for a dime from anyone.
Right.
I'm going to be booking my own flight.
I know. Did she? I mean, that, I wonder about the beaver story too, unless it was on film and you saw the poor beaver, which nobody would want to see. So it could have just been that she was incapacitated because of things that she was taking at the time and hit something, and then, blamed it on some poor animal.
Probably today.
Yeah, bees equals misbehave. Your 5-year-old grandson is more mature. Oh, yeah. I couldn't imagine being 40 with nothing. Right.
Because we're breaking up, man.
And that's why she gets so envious and jealous. And that's one of the things with the narcissistic personality traits too. Is why she gets so envious of FFG and of Yaba, is because they have a loyal audience. They go and do what, their audience is anticipating with their content. They've got a loyal fan base. They get a lot of, obviously support and sponsorships through their audience, but they're also doing things that aren't completely ridiculous with their money. And so she, I think, just cannot wrap her head around, and that just causes her an immense amount of jealousy, which is, jealousy is you're going to stew in it and not make any changes. If she was envious, it would actually inspire her to make a change in her life. But she probably sits more in the world of jealousy, in my speculation.
We are no more.
Your 17-year-old is more mature. Right, don't be envious, put the effort into what you want. Yeah, well, they say something, that's one of the things I've read in research, is that there's jealousy and there's envy. Usually if you have envy, hope that can inspire you to actually, want to make for a better self, like it could actually be like, I'm envious that these people have this, and it could be potentially something that inspires you to make changes or to work harder or to do things to actually, improve yourself. Whereas jealousy is something that you just sit and stew and get angry around without actually making any constructive change to get the things that you're jealous about or envious about. So that's one of the things that they kind of talk about in psychology.
Yeah.
Where is it stemming from?
Mr. Couples channel.
Right.
Just one more 13-hour flight. Thanks, Jay.
Well, she's jealous of FFG too.
Thanks, Vampira. Summer camping.
But
I could get a tent and live in a campground.
I think Chantel Swimm's more in jealousy because she doesn't make any changes to herself.
Divorce doesn't cost anything here. Yeah, I guess so, boobies. Yeah, I don't want to answer any personal questions right now about like anything, really, honestly. Just wanted to let you guys know that I'm going home.
I don't think this is letting the audience know. This is letting Salah know that if he doesn't behave, in my speculation, then she's going back to Canada. And I don't think she really wants to go back to Canada anyway. I don't think she wants to face that tax bill and the unknown that she would face in Canada. You know, it's expensive. She's got no credit. She owes the government money. She's got no job skills. You know, she can't dry beg off the audience. Hopefully they've learned that lesson off the last PayPal scandal that she did, because that was terrible. What she did with that PayPal was not only against YouTube's terms of service, you know, it was not great. If you haven't had a chance to hit the likes on my stream, I appreciate it. That's a dry beg for likes.
Thanks, Kelly.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Feral Farm Girl. I am so sorry.
Yeah, pretty much me.
I am so sorry. That's got to be devastating. But, you know, I think you're a strong, resilient person, and we all can only hope that we have the resilience to get through tough times. I can promise you, I've been through some tough times too recently.
Van life vlogs, I wish. I don't know how to convert a van. Are you alone in the apartment? I'm alone right now.
I can promise you that the issues that I've had around my health have been very difficult myself, with an infection that's only starting to show improvements. And I always have fears around the side effects that I could have, because I have been on, you know, a very strong antibiotic, even though now it's a lower dose. You know, with potential for thrombocytopenias, other different, you know, disorders of the blood, for being on Bactrim for so long. And Eloise can probably attest to this. And I still have, you know, I just started my, I still have, you know, about just under 3 months to go on this medication. And obviously I need to take it through the full course and not just stop. In order to really get a hold of, you know, this, you know, and it's really been difficult. But, you know, in that time, I, you know, was having the opportunity to build this YouTube channel, which has been an absolute gift and something that I really enjoy. And I was very happy that I've been able to dedicate the time to that. I, you know, like I said, changed my focus in my grad school. I have been able to feel well enough to return to grad school and really enjoying the experience of being back in grad school and being a student again and focusing on writing papers and learning again. You know, feeling better. I didn't realize just how unwell I was until I started to feel better. So I think there's a lot that, you know, you can learn, but I just wonder, I don't see any learning from Chantel. She's very closed to that. And I, you know, that is part of that unwillingness, that lack of motivation for change. I read a very interesting paper around that today. I was going to do something about that with the Taco Tuesday, and then she released this live. So it ended up becoming a different thing. But I was reading some things around that today. National Institutes of Health. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, and I just took antibiotics and antimicrobials in my advanced pharmacology. So I was like, ah!
I don't know what to say.
Correct. Yeah, put on your big girl panties.
I don't know.
Get home, take care of yourself.
I don't want to get home. Thanks, Brittany.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Eloise, for saying that. Travel bees, you know, like RV. I mean, all of these suggestions are just
Nice
no RVing high.
Sounds
no
nice.
RV beezing high. Like they think that, you know,
yeah, maybe
it's like this whole entire audience is just, I guess they don't think she has any chronic health issues going on. That, you know, that the fact that she has now been put on, you know, the Lantus insulin and also taking Farxiga, and I don't know if she's just back on Janumet or metformin and Farxiga, or is she on Janumit and Farxiga? Because she says she takes 2 diabetes medications and she's on the Lantus. So, and they're like, acting like Chantel 21 over here in perfect health. I'm sure you'll find a Muslim community in Canada. That would be interesting. And somebody else actually comes in. You just started being treated for diabetes. No, she supposedly has been treated for diabetes for an extended period of time, Texas one. She just is, how do they not? No, she's been a little bit longer on this treatment than she's probably even letting her audience know. Or she was diabetic long before that. Type 2.
Yeah, I'll have to just get doctored in Canada.
I'm so sorry. Oh,
I will, Gabriel.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Teardrop. I'm going back home.
Oh. Yeah, I can understand Feral Farm Girl. Virginia Beach is very expensive too. I want to move to North Carolina, certain parts.
I feel like I'm in like shock and I'm depressed. I'm going home. I don't know if I'm okay or not, honestly. I just feel numb.
Right. That's what I was thinking, Mrs. Murta. Goodwill Gunting Pondu, that she's been a long time
with
insulin. Diabetes.
You get free insulin in Canada?
Oh, she just smiled there with the idea of free insulin. And I think some people were talking about her insulin needing to be refrigerated. And Eloise, correct me in the chat. I understand with Lantus, if it's gone room temperature, you can keep it at room temperature, but you can only keep it for 28 days. So you have to actually, date the prescription. And after 28 days, it's, needs to be, no longer used past that date. Because we used to keep a lot of insulin products at room temperature in the medicine, I think it was the short-acting Humulin and I believe Lantus were the two that can go room temperature, but you can't, once they've gone room temperature, you can't return it back to the fridge. So, but she probably hasn't dated her Lantus. So. Yes.
I don't really have any things here.
Thank you. Yeah, because there's a lot of people have been. The reason why I bring that up is because there's been a lot of channels who have talked about the fact that she did not refrigerate her insulin, and that's problematic. And it's only problematic if you try to use it past 28 days. But once it's gone room temperature, you can't return it back to the fridge. You literally have to, make sure you date it. Oh, I mean, we would go through insulin on the cardiac floor. It's, we obviously practice. You have to do that. But obviously, a lot of times those vials were, used long before the 28 days had come to an end. But that's one of the things that you need to do. So, I mean, it's okay that her insulin went room temperature is what I'm trying to clarify. Because there's been a lot of, speculation around that on some channels. So I just wanted to make sure we clarified that point today. Thank you, Eloise. Right, exactly. It's not every single one of them, but I believe Lantus is one of them. And the Humulin, the short acting, because we had that on the floor, and I remember that very clearly.
Oh, I mean, I'm not really good to chat right now, I guess.
Oh, Bella. Oh.
I'm just so overwhelmed.
Oh, I'm so glad for you, Miss Bella. That's an important thing to do.
Can't be tamed. Yeah, that's the thing. This is necessary.
Right. Yeah. Well, the good news is that Chantel keeps that apartment at 62 degrees. But obviously, that would be a best practice in a hot country or anywhere with, high heat is, not, keeping it refrigerated as it directs. But, just to clarify that they can, in certain circumstances, I know we did it a lot on the floor because they were kept in the medication like the Omnicell.
Food means depression. Yeah. I guess so.
You would put it even during, yes. Yeah, she's. Yeah, it's a threat. Look to Sala. Yeah, I think this is a threat to the husband to get his stuff together and treat her right. Right. I do
have very
too.
mixed feelings. I don't even know how to feel. That's why I don't know. Like,
I think
I
she
like Chinese
did
food.
too.
I don't want to get
Aw.
strawberries and cream.
Aw.
Wheelchair bees. Yeah.
Well, I'm
I
so
have them
glad for
here.
you, Bella, because you'll feel so much better.
Thank you, Teardrop.
Right. Yes, the Humulin Humalog. Yeah.
I feel
Right.
so bad about Julia.
Oh, exactly. You don't want to take them past their 28 days.
That's true, Black Zillion.
And she's probably not dated hers.
Yep.
Because she's on medication and manage her meds. Yes. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
got Chinese food.
Always. Always take care of
don't know,
up here
Julie.
first.
Juice.
Not Chantel does not do that.
Juice. Come here, Juice.
Now they're just asking about the food here. Like, oh, Chinese food so long. Here's this lady, supposedly so, upset that she's having to leave her life behind and return back to Canada and, potentially does not have a home, has no car, has no, assets to speak of. And she's, they're talking about McDonald's and Chinese food in the chat. Just the level of, delusion sometimes I see. And somebody here is about to wax their armpits for the first time. I'm glad that they shared that information.
Come here, baby girl. Come here, baby girl. Come here, sweet love.
Right.
Oh.
Right. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Sweet baby girl. Oh, yes, you
Poor
are.
Julia. Look, she does. The cat is like, don't you dare. And Eloise, your cats are adorable, by the way. Your little kittens are so cute, Eloise. If you have not had a chance to go to Eloise's channel and check out her cats, please, do so. The cat knows she is sick and has dirty paws. Look at that. Julia's little tail. Poor Julia. Freedom for Julia.
Pretty girl. I'm gonna miss her.
I can let you guys know too that one of the things that I used to have always for my patients was my little box that had all of my different sayings in it, and I would let either the patients at the cardiac rehab. This is something I picked up just at yeah, your kittens are the cutest, Eloise. If anybody wants to drop, like Pat, if you're able to drop the link to Miss Eloise's channel, because I would love to have people know that that is a source of great information. It's not clickbaiting. There's no drama there. And she's, a really good source to go to. And we love Miss Eloise. Yes. Thank you, Miss Pat Ray. So I used to have this little box that has all these different sayings in it. Oh, yeah, the tear begging. And I would get my patients, and this one says, success in life should be determined by contributions, not accumulations. That's a good one for today. And I love this little thing because my colleagues would laugh at me because it was my little box of inspirational quotes for my cardiac rehab patients. But I love this thing. I love to find all these different little, absolutely, everybody. If you haven't had a chance to get some good pharmaceutical information, I would suggest that you check out Miss Eloise's channel. You subscribed. Thank you, Marina. I know that Eloise will really appreciate that. And she really is an awesome source. There's no drama there. She just gives really good information about medications, I mean, how many of you get the chance to spend so much time talking to somebody as wonderful as a pharmacist? And I can let you know In my class in advanced pharmacology, that's the thing that they tell us all the time. Talk to your pharmacists. Talk to the pharmacists. They love to educate. They love to share information. They're actually a wonderful source. I had to teach my dad that. So yeah, definitely some pancreases and poor kidneys in there. Thank you, Anastasia. Why does she want to give back here when the care was so much better there? I don't know, Anastasia. That's a really good question. Probably because she knows she can get free insulin in Canada. Oh. And Goodwill Gunting Pondy says, I have to say something I learned in 12 steps is when you help others with what you suffer from, you help yourself. Best way to feel better. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it really is. So, yeah. Oh, you love that quote? You have a minimalist home, my son and cat gets all my time, love, and attention. All that matters in my life is keeping your karma and spirit clean and kind. Exactly. I know. And, you know, that's one of the things that I've wanted to know and be able to, you know, try to kind of get into girl world. You know, I'm not really going to be the... You know, obviously I use titles that get people's interest, but obviously I want it to be a nice educational session too. And people always say that they enjoy that. And people love to actually, and just to give you guys thumbs up too, people love to read the chat as well that comes with our live streams because they see so much intelligent and kind conversation and they feel like they learn from that too. So I can only thank you guys for that. All right, keep going, Chantel. Keep dry begging, girl. Judge Mathis is going to get real tired today.
I can bring her with me.
Julia's glad. She's really milking it. Oh, absolutely. Oh, she is.
Yeah, maybe it'll be her.
I know. I'm almost waiting for her to come out with a Chinese food or some type of fast food dish or something and, you know, be like, oh, no, actually, I'm going to be staying in Kuwait. You know, I don't want to put a Vegas bet on anything because you just never know with Chantel. I mean, she might just be going home for a visa run and saying like she did last time that she's moving back to Canada full time in order to garner sympathy from her audience. In reality, she's just needing to get home because she has to be back in Canada, you know, every, 6 months or something. I understand. Canadians clarify for me, but I want to think that at some point I understood that she needs to return home within a certain amount of time in order to keep certain things going in Canada, and that she can't be, because she's not out, with, maybe work permits or stuff, that she does have to get back home every once in a while. And I don't know if that's, something I'm just, misremembering. But yeah, so maybe she's, using it as a chance to, milk some stuff through the dry bag.
I don't have a house to go to, Mercy Me.
Yeah, she's the boy who cried wolf. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can't bring her right now.
It sounds very similar to times before.
She's going to be okay with Solana, but anyway. Yeah. You can't mail Julia through DHL.
No, she's crying because she probably didn't get her, fast food fix. And she's just like low on the dopamine. Her dopamine receptors have not been hit.
Juice. Anyway.
What happened to the diabetes education classes? Somebody asks.
I think I'm going to go.
Well, remember, she went the time to see the diabetes educator and her, nutrition classes and weight management and so forth, but she arrived late. And so she wasn't able to see anybody. And that's the end of that. I don't mean to laugh, but it's just, I knew that there was no way that she's suddenly going to be attending these classes. And I'm thinking to myself too, would they not be potentially speaking in Arabic? because usually these classes are community classes. So it just, you know, she didn't make her appointment. She didn't show up on time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, your job.
Oh, you do what you need to do, Feral Farm Girl. We're going to be finishing up in any minute now. I'm going to let her play out and wrap this up because I have to finish
Okay,
things.
so that's the news. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know.
Uh-oh, girl. I didn't think I was going to have to stop you. I don't know if those are real tears coming down, but Judge Mathis tired.
I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have best dry bacon. Well, I mean, you know what that is.
And she's been begging hard on this chat, man. Begging hard. Oh, she looks a little... Might be working herself up there.
I don't know, like, exactly when I'm going home, but it's going to be really soon.
It would be great content, says Capone Boxer.
I think I'm just going to go, like, try to figure out what to do.
Somebody asked if it's legal to mail a cat through the post. No. Well, I mean, there's export services, but...
I don't want to cry on camera anymore.
Oh, she's actually got herself worked up.
So thanks for listening to me and always being here. No matter what shit I go through.
Now, this could potentially just be part of, she supposedly has had issues around, depression. I'm not obviously her medical physician. And she's not potentially getting full treatment. So, I mean, some of these tears could be, potentially, through that. She could be having a moment where she does feel down today. And she's not, because it's such a 180 from where she was on Taco Tuesday. And we're only on, Wednesday hump day. And she has, gone from being, full of herself yesterday, didn't want to care about her health. She's going to do whatever she wants. And, something occurred or something is, and now she's coming out this way. So, all right, finish it out, Chantel. It's dinner time. And I've got already 3 hours here, girl.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, she does pity herself.
I don't feel good. So
you think she's...
I guess I'm gonna go for now and figure things out, and I'll come back up.
She's grifting. Yeah.
I have things more figured out. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Anybody who's, familiar with watching anybody who, e-begs off on the internet, and there have been some classic e-beggars out there. And then, obviously people are like, oh, well, you're an e-beggar too because you have a YouTube channel. Hopefully there's a line drawn between just the usual e-begging and the e-begging that happens here. I don't, I promise you, if I have a tough day, and I planned a live stream and I'm not in it, I would not go live because I would be bringing the wrong energy to my live stream. And I wouldn't want to be going live, because it's a moment where I need to step back and, take care of my own mental health. But they often come out with the tears and the sad stories. And then, her audience is just, giving her the best suggestions ever. dreaming of Everest. Don't leave like this upset. Well, she really should be leaving. In fact, I often recommend that if she's, finding it so difficult to be on YouTube because of the amount of negativity she receives, my suggestion is, from a therapeutic standpoint, that she should completely remove herself from social media and be able to address issues and take care of her own mental health and her physical health. And somebody else is like, hey, you can smoke the sticky icky in Canada. And, and some people wonder is she finding out that Nada's got married to Dee Dee and she's still upset about that, that her man is married to some other lady, potentially. There's just so much, but whatever there is, the amount of truth in this, because, she'll come out if she decides that she's not going to Canada, who knows, that she'll say, well, I don't lie. I just changed my mind. And that's usually her, rationale for her behaviors. I don't lie. I just changed my mind. That's, her classic.
Oh, I feel sick. Thank you. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what to do right now.
Oh, absolutely, Beverly. I can be bought like that every night.
I have so much to do. I'm like in my worst health ever. So, but I'm definitely going home.
Yeah, okay.
That's where I want to be.
Okay. Yeah, today you do.
So, I need to be home.
Potentially shifter.
Oh, okay, guys. Love you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Aww. Well, make sure you get a chance to talk. Oh, okay. Let's end it there. Well, I would suggest, Feral Farm Girl, that you obviously, if you are able to get in touch with any sort of, mental health services, that you do, because obviously nobody wants you feeling that way. And there could be potentially some medications that could help you through that, and I know here in the United States, finances are difficult. So it's difficult. I understand. I understand. So just take care of you first, okay? Just make sure that you're getting the support that you need, how you can get it. Oh, my nose. You see, my nose is still healing. Yes, we went from Taco Tuesday to Weepy Wednesday. Oh, my goodness. Nothing worked. I'm sorry to hear that. And they're not always effective for everybody, and that's a lot to do with certain things with our own physiology. And I know Eloise, she's probably gone off to bed, bless her heart, because it was getting late in the UK. Probably, that can happen too. So a lot of times, though, cognitive behavioral therapy can be very beneficial. So I think there's a lot more work into that. And so if you're ever able to get an opportunity, I'm not talking about that neurolinguistic stuff. Okay. That's something, that NLP, that's something totally different. I'm talking about actually, I'm so sorry, Feral Farm Girl. I'm sorry. But they are doing some more things about, cognitive behavior. And maybe that could potentially be something to look into. But I don't treat or diagnose. Okay. I'm just giving recommendations. All right, guys. My goodness. That was just something else. Junebug is sitting next to me licking her paws, which means she wants to get outside and do her business. So I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate everybody being here. Miss Pat Ray for coming on in as my oh, yes. Good. Yes. Thank you for giving those good resources online. Antidepressants are complex and every brain is complex and unique. Yes. Thank you. Yes. So that's one of the things. It can be difficult to find the right treatment regimen, and certain things maybe are not things that can be treated that way. It is difficult. It is difficult. Thank you for clarifying that, Eloise. Yes, absolutely. Some great suggestions in there too. Oh, yes, she did. Sarah did the exact same thing last visa run to Canada. Yes. And she's probably is trying to get some donations so she can upgrade to that first class flight. Oh, all right, guys. The grift and the lies, it's all been, we'll see what she's got next. She could have a day off, just to sort of make the audience, worry about her a little bit more. I know she likes to do that. She likes to take time out and, get her audience like, what's going on, Chantel? What's wrong with you? What's happening? All that good stuff. Oh, so we don't know. Could she be lying or could she be leaving? Is she leaving and lying and returning back? We just don't know. I'm so glad you caught the live stream too, guys. I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to say thank you to Miss Pat Ray. I want to say thank you to Angela Glass, who came in as my moderators, all of you in the chat who are so wonderful. I wanted to thank Goodwill Gunting Pondu for the super chat, for Miss Sam Tars for the super chat, for Miss Catherine for being a member for 1 month. We have Poets Graffiti. Also, thank you so much for that chat. And Miss MK, thank you for that generous chat from Canada. And just for all of you for being here and for liking the stream and for, just participating and having such a wonderful conversation. I'm so glad you enjoyed the stream. I love coming out and seeing you guys. I got to work on a paper. And so we'll thank you. Make sure. Yeah, thank you. Yes, absolutely. And like I said, if you haven't had a chance to check out Eloise's channel, and just want some really good solid information without the drama, then I suggest that you go over there. She's so welcoming and inviting. I promise you will have a good time. All right, guys, I'm going to bring up the branding. I want to make sure that I thank everybody who is a member of my community. Hopefully I've got everybody's name on there, and for your support. I'm going to try to get out and obviously do a stream just for my tier 2 members, my best vibes. So thank you guys for that. And I'm going to play out my music, and we'll see you on the next one.